was just here a minute ago. I'm 100 miles away, son. Ready to strike.
Geico, saving you money on insurance for your car and the other stuff that moves you.
Grab the new Sun-Times and get the real Chicago story every day. Subscribe at suntimes.com. Chicago Sun-Times. Let's get into it.
Earlier today, things weren't looking too good for the Cubs, who were hoping to extend their win streak to 4. But then along came the Fonz. Not running, and there's a drive to left by Soriano, and it is gone! Cubs lead. A 2-run shot. On a crisp mid-September evening in St. Louis, Missouri, we're set for Chicago Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet. Another huge win for the Cubs this afternoon. It's game 2 of a day-night doubleheader, and the Cubs have won 4 in a row. The Cardinals have dropped 9 straight, and that race to the finish line has the Cubs right now 2 games ahead of the Brewers, who are hosting the Cincinnati Reds. Hi again, everyone. Along with Bob Brentley, I'm Len Casper, and what a day for the Cubs already. They have won the first 2 games of this series, and earlier today, Ted Lilly pitched pretty well. He gave up just 2 runs, both in the first innings. We're going to check out some highlights.
Hey, it was one of those ball games. Ted was pitching very well, but you wondered if the club was going to be able to score any runs for him. The Cardinals got on the board first. Jim Edmonds thought he hit a home run and hit the wall in right field, ricocheted away from Darrell Ward. That plated the first 2 runs of the game.
Mike Fontenot with a sac fly to get the Cubs on the board in the second inning, so it was 2-1. And then into the 8th inning off Ryan Franklin after Braden Looper gave up just 1 run in 7 innings, a 2-run blast. Cubs leading 3-2, their first lead of the day. Ryan Dempster would come on, and what a performance for him. 2 strikeouts. He goes 1-2-3. Kerry Wood gets his first win as a big league reliever, his first win since last year. Carlos Marmol with another scoreless inning.
Well, as shaky as Ryan Dempster was in the ball game last night, that's how dominating he was in the first game today.
Well, the starting pitchers for game 2, left-hander Sean Marshall is going to jump back into the rotation. This will be his first start since the last day of August.
Yeah, nobody's quite sure what to expect from Sean Marshall. You have to believe that bullpen is on full alert tonight. Hopefully Sean will be able to go at least 5 strong innings. Joel Pinheiro got his brains beat in at Wrigley Field in that makeup game last Monday. Gave up 6 hits and 5 runs in his 4th inning of work.
Cubs try to continue to roll their first 4-game winning streak since they started the second half. Soriano and the Cubs coming up.
Recognize your loved ones on the sidewalks beneath the historic Wrigley Field marquee. Through the commemorative paver program, you can join thousands of fans in celebrating the day you became a Cubs fan, declared your loyalty, or preserved your favorite Cubs moment. If you're a Cubs fan, how can you pass up this opportunity to become part of Wrigley Field? Each order includes a replica paver for your home or office and makes a perfect gift. So to purchase, visit Cubs.com or call today. Space is limited, so order now.
Welcome to Honda's ATV Planet. Today's episode, Power Steering, the chase is on. The team is out to track the tough Foreman 4x4 ES, the first of its species with power steering. They spot one, and the chase is on. Power steering gives it effortless handling, with no sign of fatigue. Then suddenly, it's gone. Another memorable adventure on ATV Planet.
Hawkeye Motorworks, 7805 North Division Street, Davenport.
There have
professional football's secret weapon.
We're back this fall with a whole new season.
The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders making the team too. Fridays at 8, 7 Central.
Only on CMT.
Hey everyone, Chuck Garfi, Mitch Robinson, our downtown Chicago studios with this Sports Night update.
We'll get you back out to St. Louis in a moment, but first, a big day in college football. We start at the Big House with the battle of the 0-2s. Michigan and Notre Dame. The 0-2 Irish struggled last two games. They struggled in this one. Jimmy Clausen, he wants a do-over. He was sacked 8 times. He fumbled here. The Wolverines recover one of 4 Notre Dame turnovers. Meanwhile, there's Mike Hart. He guaranteed a victory, and he backed it up. First quarter, touchdown Hart. Michigan up 10-0, but they weren't finished. Second quarter, Hart again. He bounces outside. Another score. Hart ran all over the Irish. 187 yards. Michigan wins 38-0.
How about Eastern Michigan at Northern Illinois? It's 21-19, 3 seconds to go. Chris Nendick a chance to win it from 50 yards out. We've seen a lot of this year. Blocked. Game over. Northern loses by 2. They are 0-3 to open up the season. Now the Huskies did get some good news before the game. Former Notre Dame quarterback Demetrius Jones, he transferred to Northern Illinois and he's enrolled in classes. The Morgan Park alum started Notre Dame's season opener against Georgia Tech, didn't go too well. Now because he enrolled at NIU early enough, he'll be eligible to play for the Huskies next season.
And a reminder, as soon as the Cubs game is over, keep it right here for Cubs Postgame Live. Josh Mora and Dan Plesac break down the doubleheader and look ahead to tomorrow's series finale. It's all on Cubs Postgame Live immediately following the game right here on Comcast Sportsnet. So that is a wrap from our Sports Night studios here in Chicago.
Stay tuned, Game 2, the doubleheader between the Cubs and Cardinals coming up next on Comcast Sportsnet. We'll see you after the game.
At the Chevy Model Year-End event, the last of the 07s are going fast. So you better act now. Just click and go online 24/7 to check out great offers. Then get to your Chevy dealer before yours is gone.
Qualified lessees can get a low-mileage lease on an 07 Impala 1LT for around $199 a month. Residency restrictions apply. Call for details. Click on ChevyDriveChicago.com. Then see your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealer.
Dex, the copier ran out of toner.
Try Olaf's office supply at 6th and Maytime.
Dex, where'd you get that eclair?
Dave's. They deliver.
Dex, my throat is itchy, my ears feel big, and my nose is all ooky.
Dr. Noah Davis. He's an otorhinolaryngologist. Ear, nose, and throat guy.
Who hired him? Mail guy brought him up. Just left him here. Huh.
The AT&T Real Yellow Pages, published by Dex, your most complete local info.
Ryan Sandberg invites you to participate in his Grand Park Kickball Extravaganza Saturday, September 22nd. To benefit families with children with serious medical conditions, visit rhinokidcare.org.
Jimmy John's, America's #1 sandwich delivery. Fast Ed speaking. I'm on my way. Jimmy John's, America's #1 sandwich delivery. Freaky fast, freaky good.
Four Seasons, the largest family-owned and operated heating and air conditioning contractor, has simple goals: provide exceptional service at the best possible price and offer products that leave you nothing but satisfied. Call Four Seasons Heating and Air Conditioning today for a free estimate.
The next generation Nissan Altima. Recently awarded 5 stars for crash safety, the highest mark possible. Yup, it's that good. The Nissan Altima from just $19,800 at your Nissan dealer now.
You're watching the home of the Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, and White Sox. Comcast Sportsnet. Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you in part by Chevy. Log on now to ChevyDriveChicago.com. Check us out today at ChevyDriveChicago.com. Walgreens, the pharmacy of the Chicago Cubs. Your local area Lexus dealer who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Ricoh, how well do you print, copy, scan, fax? How well do you share? Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, shining through. Cadillac, Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit. And by Southwest Airlines. With more flights to more places than ever before, Southwest is taking low fares farther. Visit Southwest.com.
Cubs have won 4 in a row for the first time since they jumped out of the All-Star break, beating the Astros 3 straight and then the Giants July 13th through the 16th. So now the Cubs Southwest starting lineup for Game 2. Soriano leads it off. Jock Jones batting second in center. Lee Ramirez, who had Game 1 off, is back in there. Cliff Floyd pinch hit and had a big walk. He's in right. DeRosa, Kendall, Ryan Terrio, the shortstop, and Sean Marshall, the starting pitcher. Joel Pinheiro deals a breaking ball strike, and we're underway. Cubs jumped all over Pinheiro on Monday in that makeup game at Wrigley Field. Swing and a miss. 2 strikes.
Yeah, that game on Monday, Pinheiro gave up a run in the first after Derek Lee doubled. He scored on a Cliff Floyd single. Then in the second and third inning, he went 1-2-3 against the Cubs. But then in the fourth inning, the wheels came off for Joel Pinheiro.
And Soriano just heads back to the dugout. That ball got away from the catcher, but he doesn't have to tag him because Soriano didn't make a move toward first. So a strikeout to start it. And it'll bring up Jock Jones.
Same way Game 1 started. Hopefully that's a good omen.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Outside on Jock.
I'll tell you, that fourth inning in Pinheiro's last start against the Cubs on Monday at Wrigley Field, that was one of the best innings the Cubs have had this year. Now, statistically, they've had more hits in an inning. They've had more runs in an inning. But Derek Lee led it off with a homer, then a quick out from Cliff Floyd, another homer from Ramirez, a single, a double, and Pinheiro was gone.
Fouled near the plate, and it's 2-1 on Jones.
So put another log on the fire, get a blanket, snuggle up with someone you love, and watch the second game of the day. Very chilly here tonight in St. Louis.
Now they announced the game time temperature at 61.
I'm not buying it.
And in Game 1 they said it was 58. The right-hander coming back, and that one ticketed toward right on the ground.
Let's take a quick look at the Cardinals defensively in Game 2 of this split doubleheader. Taguchi, Edmonds, and Ludwig across the outfield. Scott Spezio at third. Brendan Ryan at short. Miguel Cairo at second base. Albert Pujols over at first. Yadier Molina behind the dish, and right-hander Joel Pinheiro on the mound.
Not much humidity, and it's the big chill as we near autumn. Derek went 1 for 4 in the opener, so starts Game 2 at 3:10. 3 for 4 with a homer against Pinheiro. And that one's going to get down in right center. Jones holding at second. Back-to-back one-out singles for the Cubs, and it brings up Aramis Ramirez.
Derek Lee golfing that pitch down and in, got him on the hands, but strong enough to muscle it out there into shallow right center field. Immediate pressure on Pinheiro and the Cardinals here in the first inning.
Cubs won without Aramis in the Game 1 lineup. DeRosa played third, Fontenot at second. And a line drive base hit to left. Jones coming around. He's going to try to score. Here's the throw. It's going to be late, and the Cubs lead 1-0. Ramirez with his 90th RBI.
Well, Ramirez missed out on the fun in game 1, but immediately makes his presence felt here in game 2. A rocket base hit into left field. Good send right there by Mike Quade. So Taguchi had to move to his right. Anytime you get an outfielder moving laterally, that's a good time to take a chance and send that runner on home. Very tough to get that throw off on line.
So make it 3 consecutive hits. And it's Cliff Floyd who could extend his home run streak because his only plate appearance in game 1 resulted in a walk, and it was a big one. As a pinch hitter in the 8th inning, he led off with a walk against Ryan Franklin. He would be removed for a pinch runner. Sam Fuld and then Alfonso Soriano hit the game-winning home run. Fuld almost was picked off before the homer.
Very close. A couple of attempts to pick him off first base. The first one was very close.
There's the rookie hoping he can get into game 2 at some point. Matt Merton on the left. Lee at second, Ramirez at first, and the red-hot Cliff Floyd at the plate.
Well, you can see Yadier Molina setting up over in that right-handed batter's box. It looks like the Cardinals aren't too anxious to give Cliff anything to hit in this situation.
Cardinals have lost 9 in a row. It's their longest losing streak since 1980. Well, they dropped 10 in a row. That's a strike. 2-1.
After 2 fastballs way off the plate away, comes back with a pitch on the inside corner, maybe bottom of the kneecaps. Gets a call from home plate umpire Marty Foster.
It was just 8 days ago when the Cardinals were 1 game out. They're now 7 back. The Cubs, meanwhile, have gone 6-3 on this 4-city road trip that included a game at Wrigley Field. Cliff is seeing the ball so well. He's going to wait for his pitch, even if it comes with 2 strikes.
Yeah, when you feel like you're locked in at the plate as a hitter, you'll take strikes if it's not the strike you were looking for. That time that ball was fading away on the outside part of the plate and down. Real good chance Cliff would have hit a ground ball somewhere in the infield, and that's the last thing he wants to do in this situation.
And he walked him, and they're loaded for DeRosa. The last 4 have reached base. I'll tell you what, partner, just over 2 weeks to go in the season, but you get the impression the Cubs can smell it right now. They have really turned it up a notch, and it all started in that crazy 9th inning the other night in Houston. Brian Dempster found a way to get out of it. The Cubs haven't lost since. Tapper foul.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's hard to put your finger on it, and guys have a real hard time describing it, but you definitely know it's there. You come to the ballpark, you put your uniform on, you go through your pregame routine, and whether you jump ahead early or fall behind early in a ball game, you feel like you're going to win that game somehow.
Fouled back, 2 strikes on DeRosa. Played third base in game 1. He's back at second base here for game 2. Cubs giving Sean Marshall a lead before he takes the ball in the bottom of the inning. So Molina, he wanted it up. He made a motion with his right hand saying, I want that pitch up.
You see him get way up high out of his crouch there, hoping to get Mark DeRosa to chase a high pitch out of the zone.
Line drive, center field. Edmonds makes a catch waist high. Here comes the throw toward the plate. The tag, and they get Lee. Jim Edmonds gunning down Derek Lee at home plate for his 7th outfield assist. So the Cubs will have to settle for 1. Bottom first coming up. Sean Marshall against the Cardinals.
2.9 APR on Odysseys and Elements. More than 1,900 Hondas available.
We make it so easy to buy, even a caveman can do it. Illinois' #1 volume Honda dealer, Schaumburg Honda Automobiles. Over 1,900 Hondas available.
Bob Royman.
You owe it to yourself. Illinois' #1 volume Honda dealer is Bob Rohrman, Schaumburg Honda Automobiles. 8 blocks west of Woodfield Mall on Golf Road.
You hear about Fensky?
No.
Got hurt, missed work. Thought his major medical was enough. Poor guy. Didn't have Aflac.
What does Aflac do?
Let's say this is major medical, right? Well, see the hole? That's where Aflac comes in. Helps pay for groceries, rent, all kinds of bills. Major medical? Poor Fensky. He thought he had enough coverage.
Aflac. Ask about it at work.
Some people see style. Some people see performance. We all see something that catches our eye. Like the Pontiac G6. The same fuel economy as Camry, with even more horsepower. The new Pontiac, designed for action.
Now the 2007 G6 sedan starts at $16,895. But hurry, because inventory is limited. For more information, visit PontiacDrive.com.
Cubs leading 1-0, and Sean Marshall will face this Cardinals Southwest starting lineup. So Taguchi's going to lead off. Brendan Ryan batting second. Pujols, Ludwig, Edmonds, Yadier Molina the catcher. Scott Spezio gets his second start of the series at third. Pinheiro hitting 8th and Cairo 9th.
And let's take a look at the Cubs defensively, brought to you by Rico. Move your ideas forward with Rico dependability. Soriano, Jones, and Floyd across the outfield. Ramirez back in the lineup for game 2 at third base. Terrio at short. DeRosa at second. Lee over at first base. Jason Kendall doing the catching for left-hander Sean Marshall. Get a look at his numbers on the season. Looking to go over 500 with the win-loss record. Really good against left-handers. Struggles at times against the right-handed hitters.
And his first pitch to Taguchi is a called strike. Here's how the top of the first came to an end.
Well, obviously Derek Lee not running as well as he could, but the key to the play for me was Yadier Molina staying behind the plate in foul territory, forcing Derek Lee to go to the infield side of home plate. That way the play is all in front of the catcher. The one hazard you have on a play like that as a catcher is if the runner comes in standing up, because then the runner gets there, the ball gets there, and you have to reach across a guy coming into the plate standing up.
Sean's 0-2 delivery.
Now you see where Molina is right there, forcing Derek Lee to the inside, and that's about as quick a tag as you can make at home plate. And as I said, the danger is if the runner comes in standing up, you're at his mercy. You're really exposed.
Tapper foul. And Marty Foster made that call at home plate. He did not work game 1. Fielded Culbreth did, and he gets the night off. Tim McClellan's the crew chief. Ted Lilly went 6 innings in the opener, gave up just 4 hits and 2 runs. Good play by Ramirez. Lots of time, and he gets Taguchi.
Rami ranging to his left, makes a nice play, gathers himself, points that front shoulder right at his target, and a perfect throw across to Derek Lee.
You know, you think about Ramirez and Kendall not playing in the opener, and you think, wow, they got a day off. But no, they didn't. They just didn't have to play 18.
Yeah, playing 18 is good for a golfer, not always a good thing for a ball player, especially at this time of the season. Kind of surprised to see Tony La Russa running Yadier Molina back out there for game 2 of the split doubleheader. Although for the Cardinals, this is pretty much their last gasp. The last best chance they have of gaining any ground whatsoever on the Cubs is going to be these head-to-head matchups.
I mean, they're certainly not mathematically eliminated, but if they don't win tonight and tomorrow, they would finish the weekend at least 7 games out with just 2 weeks to go. 3-0 pitch called strike on a fastball at 87. And one of the big goals for the Cubs this weekend was to kind of put the Cardinals away. 3-2. Milwaukee leading in the top of the 5th, 3-1 over the Cincinnati Reds, trying to even up that 3-game series. Jeff Suppan has pitched well tonight. Kirk Sarlos on the mound for the Reds. Prince Fielder with his 46th home run. That's a base hit past Ramirez.
Fastball outer third, just finds that hole in the left side of the field. Have I mentioned that Pujols is the guy you need to be careful with in this series?
Maybe once or twice or 13 or 14 times.
Yeah, the way this Cardinals offense has been sputtering recently, Pujols and Edmonds are the 2 guys you really have to be careful of, and if you have to pick one of those, it's the guy at the plate right now. I mean, you can pretty much say that about every series you play against the Cardinals. This is a guy you don't want to let beat you, but there have been times when he hasn't been swinging the bat particularly well. Not the case in this series.
Nope. Ryan is going to test Soriano, and a bad throw by Alfonso. Pujols able to move up to second base. A rare offline throw by Soriano. Second and third, 1 out.
Really not the right place to throw this baseball anyway. I just mentioned about So Taguchi. Anytime you get an outfielder moving laterally, that's a time you try to be a little more aggressive as a coach and a base runner. And the play was to get the ball back into second base, try to keep Pujols at first and keep the double play in order.
Ryan Ludwig, a second-round pick of the Oakland A's out of UNLV in 1999.
Ludwig's put up good power numbers, 13 home runs and 43 RBIs in just over 250 at-bats on the season.
Knocked down by Kendall. Marshall coming in at 7-7. His last start was a loss to the Astros on August 31st. His last outing was his first career relief appearance Sunday at Pittsburgh. Went an inning and a third, gave up 2 hits, no runs. One career decision against the Cardinals, and it was a win. It was earlier this year. Check swing. They're going to go down to first base, and Paul Schreiber said he held up. That win came on August 18th at Wrigley Field. 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs.
Good breaking ball down and in. Very close, but looked like Ludwig was able to hold up.
Bouncer foul into the Cubs dugout. No decision for Ted Lilly in game 1, but he was really good. And Kerry Wood got his first win of the year.
Kerry Wood was very good as well. Fastball hit 96 through some good sliders.
Cubs have now won 9 of the last 11 games in this season series. They're 10-4 against the Cardinals. They had 10 wins back in 05, 11 last year. The last time the Cubs beat the Cardinals at least 10 times in 3 consecutive years. They did it 4 straight times from 1952 to 55. Swing and a miss. Big strikeout for Sean Marshall. He got him on the slider.
Boy, kept running that ball in on Ludwig, whether it be a cut fastball or a slider, not allowing him to extend his arms. Tries to adjust his swing here. Can't come up with it. Nice pitch.
So that gives him a chance to get out of it. Edmonds supplied all the Cardinal runs with a first inning 2-run double in the opener. They then went scoreless in the final 8 innings on just 2 hits. I think Lou would like to stay away from Carlos Marmol in this one. We're not going to see Kerry Wood, certainly. But in the case of Marmol and Dempster, they have to use them, they will.
Yeah, Lou said they're both available. He would like to stay away from Marmol if at all possible. You really get the feeling, because it's been so long since Sean Marshall has started a ball game, that this one's going to come down more to the middle relief than the tail end of the bullpen today.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And along those lines, he's already thrown 23 pitches. Outside edge, strike 2. That's always a big swing pitch, that 1-1. And now it's 1-2 on Edmonds. Ryan is at third, Pujols at second. The Cubs lead 1-0. In the dirt, another block by Kendall.
Jason Kendall saved a couple of runs in this inning already, blocking those breaking balls in the dirt. That's as good as driving in a run when you save the other team from scoring one. Right in the middle of the chest protector, just drops harmlessly right in front.
Sean ready to go, and a 2-2. It's full. Molina's waiting in the on-deck circle. First base open, but Marshall wants to get Edmonds right here. are full of Cardinals as Molina comes up.
Good move by Jason Kendall, and now they'll be joined by Larry Rothschild. He has really been laboring out there in the first inning. Yeah, you would have loved for Sean Marshall to be able to go out there and have a fairly quick first inning just to get his legs underneath him, get back into the rhythm of being a starting pitcher, but the Cardinals have really made him work here in the first.
Well, it's been a couple of weeks since he appeared as a starter. Steve Traxel has jumped into that rotation and has made 3 starts. Marshall will go from the wind. 3 on, 2 down. It's been rush hour on the bases for both teams here in the first inning. Cubs had 3 consecutive hits followed by a walk. They would score once. And the Cardinals threatening here in the bottom of the inning. Molina could not hold up. 1 strike.
Well, obviously Sean Marshall feels more comfortable pitching out of the windup in this situation. Personally, I'd like to see him in this stretch. We get another look at that check swing from Molina. Definitely gets out there too far. Albert Pujols, the second base, is almost halfway to third with his secondary lead. No chance for the Cubs outfielders to throw him out on a base hit. Neither middle infielder close to him. With Marshall out of the windup, he can really get down that line.
Curve for a strike. Foul. Maybe a half a foot. The Cardinals were inches away from gaining the lead.
Pitch too good on an 0-2 count. Molina that close to driving in at least a couple of his teammates.
Another 2-strike pitch popped him up on the right side. Lee drifts into foul territory, and the Cardinals leave him loaded. Sean Marshall was busy in that inning, threw over 30 pitches, but he got out of it. 1-zip Cubs.
It has more room than a Lexus ES350. More room for your legs, for your luggage, for your friends. And if beating a Lexus goes to your head, there's more room for that too. Get this low mileage lease on an 07 Lucerne CX for around $259 per month. Call for details. For more information, visit BuickDrive.com today.
I am your idea, and I'm huge. Tab me, bind me, stack me, send me round. I'm your big idea. You can't stop this. I'm your biggest idea. And Rico moves me, shows me, sends me. Leaves me behind, but never in a bind. It's the big time. I'm your big idea. And Rico's how we go and go and go.
What was once a measure of precision is now being taken for a little drive. An available 6-speed automatic. Paddle shifters. And highly responsive electronic power steering. The Lexus IS. at your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer.
Well, if you ever wanted to be a fly on the wall in Lou Piniella's office, here's your chance.
I've done it before, yeah, but it's still too early for numbers. I mean, let's just keep playing them one at a time and win some baseball games and get this damn fly off my face.
Oh, that's beautiful.
After the Game 1 win.
That's the way
have scripted it better.
That's the way most managers view that media session before and after ball games anyway. Like there's a whole room full of flies buzzing around your head.
A strike on Jason Kendall. It wasn't easy, but Sean Marshall, after making 31 pitches, got out of the first inning unscathed.
You know, and you won't be able to see it on a stat sheet anywhere, and very few people will remember the fact that Jason Kendall blocked all those breaking balls in the dirt with the runner at second and third, kept them right where they were, allowed Sean Marshall an opportunity to dodge a bullet in the first.
Spezio caught it. Kendall's out. Spezio showed the ball to Adam Dowdy at third base.
It looked like it hit him in the heel of the glove and popped straight up in the air. Right there, and he's able to keep his hand underneath it and make the catch before the ball hits the dirt.
The Riot down in the 8th spot, trying to snap an 0 for 12. He's 0 for 8 to start the series. 4 lineouts among the 8 outs he's made. Shanked foul, 2 strikes. And when you are in the 0 for 12, it seems like you're down 0-2 just about every at bat. When you're going like Cliff Floyd has been, it's 2-0 and 3-1 every time you come up, isn't it? It's not a coincidence. When you are struggling, teams are more apt to go right after you. And when you're hot, they're going to pitch around you.
Now, the good news for Ryan is he's a guy that it doesn't really affect him that much to be in the 0-2 count. He's used to battling.
There, that 0 for is over now, and he's going to try for extras. He might try for 3. And he's going to hold with a double. Edmonds got it back in fairly quickly. Well, we were joking in between games about his struggles. I said, how about a 4 for 4 and a 10-2 win? He laughed. He said, all right. So he's 1 for 1. He's on his way.
Takes a middle of the plate slider and drives it into that gap in right center. I think he would have had a chance for 3, but he kind of lost his footing around first base just a little bit right there. Just a little stumble, had to change his line to get to the bag, and that means he has to hold at second base. What can you say about Sean Marshall offensively?
Well, he has 1 home run in his career. That's what you can say.
He's due.
He's due. 2 for 28 this year.
Well, more than anything else in this situation, you just hope for a productive out. Do something to move Theriot to third base if possible. Unless you want to hit your second career home run, that's okay too.
Now 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ted Lilly picked up his first career double, knocked in a run against Pinheiro. On Monday, it was a final batter he faced.
I'll tell you, Len, that 4th inning for Joel Pinheiro on Monday was a perfect example of a pitcher that just gave up and wasn't throwing pitches with anything in mind. He was just throwing everything right down the heart of the plate, and the Cubs hitters were just teeing him up. I mean, Ted Lilly roped a double. And sometimes that frustration gets the better of you out there on the field of play, and you forget your game plan, you forget what you're trying to do, and just try to throw harder, 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 and everything ended up right over the heart of the plate for him.
He's gone to a full count. And Soriano on deck. Here's a 3-2. Marshall hanging in there. Lots of other action to talk about around the big leagues, including the Phillies with their 7th consecutive win against the Mets. They've beaten them 7 straight times. Game at Shea Stadium. Another foul. Mets are still in pretty good shape in their division. A 4.5 game lead over the Phillies, but it's not over just yet. The Dodgers with a huge win, 6-2 at home over Arizona. Sean Marshall with a base hit. Terrio around third. They're going to try to score him. Here's a throw to the plate, and he is out. And another outfield assist for the Cardinals, helping out Pinheiro. It was Edmonds in the first nailing Lee, and now Taguchi getting Terrio.
Now the send in the first inning was a good one because you had Taguchi moving to his right. This one is not a good send. Taguchi charging that ball hard. Accurate throw right on the money to Yadier Molina. He doesn't even allow Terrio to get close to the plate on that play.
And I think the thing that hurts the most is you got maybe the best at bat from Sean Marshall, certainly of this year. 8 pitches and a solid single on a 3-2. And he couldn't come up with an RBI as Terrio was nailed.
Now Terrio wasn't to the bag at third when Taguchi picked up the ball. That's kind of a general rule of thumb. If the runner hasn't reached third base when the outfielder picks up the ball, you most of the time have to hold him, depending on the game situation, who the on deck hitter is, the score of the ball game.
Now how about a 2-run homer? There's a drive deep right center for Soriano. Gone.
Ask and ye shall receive.
3-0.
Well, we're going over to the riverboat tonight, partner.
Thank you, Fonzie. Well, it's easy to say I had a feeling when he's at the plate. That's his 27th. Kidding aside, that's what happens when you're hitting home runs, and you can make up for some other mistakes if you can do that, and the Cubs have done it this month. 3-zip. I mean, you don't want guys thrown out. That one hit hard, and it's caught by Ludwig. You don't want guys thrown out at the plate, but man, you can get 2 runs on one swing. That is huge. Oh, he took that pitch the other way, up and out. His second 2-run homer of the day. Hit one, a game winner in game 1.
With convenient flights every day, Southwest Airlines gives you the freedom to do business out of town and still come home at night.
Winston, I'm home!
Flying one of Southwest's 11 daily nonstops from Chicago Midway to the San Francisco Bay Area for just $99, including new service to San Francisco International.
You are now free to move about the country. If ever you're not satisfied with one of our tires, please feel free to bring it back. Thank you. Discount Tire Company.
Low prices, more choices on the world's best brands like Michelin and BF Goodrich.
At the Chevy Model Year-End event, The last of the 07s are disappearing fast, so you better act now. Just click and go online 24/7 to check out great offers. Then get to your Chevy dealer before yours is gone. Get this fuel-efficient 07 Cobalt Sedan LS starting at $13,640 after cash back. Click on ChevyDriveChicago.com. Then see your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealer.
Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you in part by American Chartered Bank. American Chartered, the bank for your business. Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Aflac. Ask about it at work. And by Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world.
The 23rd Annual Cubs Convention will take place at the Hilton Chicago on January 18th, 19th, and 20th, 2008. To reserve a room now for the Cubs Convention weekend, call the Hilton Chicago at 312-922-4400. Weekend passes are $50, and a limited number will go on sale Wednesday, November 7th at 10 a.m. on Cubs.com. For more info, please call 773-404-CUBS.
Well, we've seen Soriano hit a lot of home runs lately, but not many of them to the opposite field. Took a pitch up and out over the plate and just drove it out of here to right center field. That's good to see.
Marshall facing switch batting. Scott Spezio lays down a great bunt, and that will be a hit. There are certain things in this game that are almost impossible to defend, and that's one of them. He's not a burner. He just laid down a perfect bunt. Not much he can really do.
His first bunt hit of the year. He did have one infield hit going into play tonight. That's just smart baseball right there. He looked up, saw Ramirez playing way back. Thought he had a better chance getting on base, bunting his way on than he did swinging the bat, so he took advantage.
We're going to see another bunt attempt. Derek Lee will pick it up. DeRosa over at first base. It'll go 3-4 on the sacrifice. Here comes Miguel Cairo.
You mentioned it after the bunt for the base hit. Spezio is not a burner by any stretch of the imagination on the bases. He only attempted one steal this year. I'm guessing that was probably a broken hit and run, but we saw the Cardinals very aggressive running from second to third against Ted Lilly in the first game earlier today. Sean Marshall can be very deliberate with runners at second base as well. Maybe not Spezio, but some of the other Cardinal players may attempt to steal third base if Sean doesn't speed up his delivery or show that inside move to second base once in a while.
That pitch just caught the dirt. And the veteran catcher Jason Kendall knew that the ball was going to be thrown out. So he just simply handed it to the home plate umpire. No sense in even trying to keep that ball in play.
Tell you, Len, for people who have never been down on the field at a major league game, I don't mean playing the game, but just down close to the action and see the movement on pitches that come into home plate. I think that's one reason why the offensive numbers, among other things, are so up in baseball. And back in my playing days, it wasn't unusual for one ball to be in play for 2 innings at a time. You get the third out of the inning, you just roll the ball out to the mound. It would stay in play. You bang it around, a ground ball out. The ball would roll across the warning track, and it would stay in play. And crafty pitchers knew how to use a scuffed baseball and get tremendous movement on their pitches, made it much tougher to make consistent contact. Now just about every pitch is a pristine brand new baseball.
Well, I think it's a bit wasteful. I'm sure every pitching coach would say the same thing.
Yeah.
Taguchi taps it past Marshall. DeRosa can't get it out of his glove. So the Cardinals still alive in this inning. Both hits, infield hits. I thought Mark might go glove to glove, but you know, he may have realized if I make a bad throw, that's going to cost us a run.
I think you're absolutely right. It was kind of an odd angle to try to make that glove to glove, and a lot longer than you would like to try to make that play. And with the runner moving from second to third, he did absolutely the right thing. Just hang on to it.
Marshall's only thrown 7 pitches in the inning. The Cardinals have 2 on. He threw 31 in the first. This is an enormous pitch coming up. It's 2-0. And you have Pujols on deck, and he gets Ryan to pop it up. And Mark DeRosa makes a very difficult catch. Had to really reach out at the very end with Cliff Floyd sliding in behind him. Cubs can smile. Got to replace the divot. It's 3-0 Cubs.
We went around swapping people's vehicles for 1 week. We didn't tell them we were from Ford. We told them it was market research.
Sorry, I'm not that loyal to you. I am swapping my Jeep Liberty for a Ford Escape. Rides very smooth, really good gas mileage. It's a little bit more luxurious. All my friends love it, and my husband wants to get one. Love it. I think we're sold.
Swap your ride and get a Ford Escape with $1,000 swap bonus cash. Visit a Ford dealer or go to ChicagoFordDealers.com.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Chicago Cubs and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Chicago.
I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burns, 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 the ring.
NASCAR on ESPN is brought to you locally by Heyman's Westside Ace Hardware, conveniently located on 4th and Division in Davenport.
Bigger, Thunder, better.
Better.
Better, bigger.
Slow internet got you tongue-tied? Kick your computer into high gear with Mediacom Online. With downloads up to 10 megabits per second, it's faster than any DSL broadband service anywhere and includes ESPN360.com, so you'll get the game and everything around it. Live matchups, real-time in-game stats, and more. Call 1-800-CABLE-TV and get Mediacom Online for only $19.95 a month for a year.
Call 1-800-CABLE-TV.
Get Chicago Sports News Nightly on Land Rover Sports Night. Coming up tonight after Cubs post-game live, a college football roundup. And a look at today's games in the National League Central. Join Mitch and Chuck for Land Rover Sports Night tonight after Cubs post-game live, only on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. Brewers leading at home 4-1 over the Cincinnati Reds, but while we will keep an eye on the Brewers the rest of the way, Cubs' fate is in their own hands, and that's what you want. You don't have to rely on anybody else. Just go out and win. '28-year-old right-hander dealing. Ball 2, 2-2. Cardinals were concerned after his last start that Pinheiro might be still tipping his pitches as Lee dunks it into right center. He's thinking about second, and he will get there as the Cardinals had a little trouble with it. Ludwig had to pick it up and throw it back in. And it's a double. He's 2 for 2.
Well, that pitch is down below the knees and out over the plate. Derek Lee just drove it into that gap in right center, got under Edmonds. Ludwig right there to back it up, and by the time he gets it back in, Derek Lee, even with the bad knee, was able to motor into second base standing up.
When Pinheiro was acquired from Boston, Dave Duncan worked with him. Thought he saw he was tipping pitches. They thought they had corrected it, but it may have popped up again in his last start. Kelvin Jimenez getting loose in the pen. Cubs with 7 hits. Bouncer up the middle. Cairo will throw to first. Lee now at third, 1 out.
Productive out for Ramirez, even though he would have preferred to drive Derek Lee home from second base. At least he moved him up to third with 1 out in the inning for Cliff Floyd, Mark DeRosa, and hopefully others. Boy, I wouldn't want to be a Cardinals infielder right now. Cliff Floyd at the plate swinging the bat as well as he has in the last couple of years, and the infield drawn in.
And because of that, I wonder if maybe a guy like Cairo's actually playing too close, considering how hard Cliff hits the ball.
And how Derek Lee is struggling to run right now.
Yeah, they just backed up Cairo a couple of steps.
I mean, 100% healthy Derek Lee with good legs underneath him. Man, maybe you do have to play in all the way to the baseline. But with Derek running the way he is and as hard as Cliff is hitting the ball, I don't think I'd want to play that shallow.
Kick and a pitch. Gets away on a fastball. Back out of play. And the count now even up 2-2.
Well, they've gone to that location a couple times on Cliff Floyd. That time for a foul ball, a few other times just off the plate inside. That's a dangerous area to pitch Cliff Floyd. That down and in where he can just drop the head of the bat on that ball.
Boy, he simply will not chase a bad pitch. That's how locked in he's been. One in the first, 2 in the second. Runner at third with 1 out here in inning number 3. Exactly the kind of start Lou Piniella wanted after winning the first 2 games of this series. Struck him out. Pinheiro made a good pitch. Pulled the string and got Floyd out. 2 down.
Now the key to that changeup is where it starts. That ball starts on the outside corner. Looks like it's going to be a good pitch, and then the combination of a lack of velocity and the movement at the very end makes it an effective pitch in that instance.
came in at 286 overall, but hitting almost 330 with runners in scoring position. He lined into a double play, lined to center, and Jim Edmonds threw out Derek Lee back in the first. Pinheiro was born in Puerto Rico, was a 12th round pick of the Seattle Mariners out of Edison Community College in Florida in '97. At one time he pitched for Lou Piniella as a Mariner, and in his first 4 big league seasons from 2000 to 2003 he had a 3.38 earned run average in 94 games, including 72 starts. A rainbow to center. Jim Edmonds will make this routine, and that's the inning. Good start, but Cubs couldn't get any runs. 3-0 they lead as we go to the bottom of the third.
I've always had this dream to be a car designer. From a very early age, I was drawing cars on every piece of paper I could find. And at age 11, I wrote Cadillac. And I was very interested in what was it that I needed to do to become a designer. I'm still following their advice, and my dream cars, they came true.
What's your reason for calling Empire today for your new windows? Quality brand name products? Our triple pane windows feature self-cleaning glass and a lifetime limited glass breakage warranty. Immediate installation? You can trust Empire today for a professional installation in just 2 weeks. On a budget? Save with warehouse direct prices, plus no payments till 2009. So get new windows for all the right reasons. Call Empire today.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
See that house? I built that house. Hey, see that truck? I built that truck.
The American-built Toyota Tundra. Now with 0% APR financing or $2,500 cash back. Find out more at ytundra.com.
Tomorrow, the series wraps up on the south side as Jim Thome and the Pale-Hose go toe-to-toe with the Angels in high def. Coverage starts with Felco White Sox pregame live. White Sox Angels tomorrow at 12:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
Sign up for a subscription to Vineline, the official monthly magazine of the Chicago Cubs. Vineline offers exclusive player features, team analysis, Wrigley Field news, and Cubs minor league coverage. Subscriptions start at just $24.95. Call 1-800-248-9467 or visit Cubs.com to order Vineline today. To see Greg Albrecht in attendance, the son of our producer Bob Albrecht, along with Greg's girlfriend Katie, enjoying the day-night doubleheader. Like every Cub fan in the ballpark, smiles on their faces. Oh, what a play by Ramirez to throw out Pujols. That is a great play.
Boy, I'll tell you, Ramos hasn't had many easy plays at third base lately. It seems like every one is an in-between hop, either to his right or to his left. Goes down to a knee all the way on the foul line, way behind third base. Oh, that's just magnificent. Plants that right foot, fires across in plenty of time to get Pujols. Like Jason Kendall may have gotten something in his eye just as Sean Marshall started his delivery. Asked for timeout from home plate umpire Marty Foster and stopped Sean right in the middle of his delivery. Maybe that fly got out of Lou's office. Boy, Sean Marshall has found a hole in Ryan Ludwig's swing and has gone right at it consistently in the first 2 at-bats of this ball game. Struck him out back in the first inning. That down and in location, whether it's with a slow breaking ball or the hard cut fastball. I think that's probably the biggest difference between major league pitching and minor league pitching. If you have a weakness, a major league pitcher will go right at it and be able to more consistently execute his pitches. Whereas in the minor leagues, a guy may try to go at your weakness, but can't always get the pitch to the location that he wants. Slider down and in. And now part of Jason Kendall's job for the remainder of this ball game is to see if Ludwig makes any kind of adjustment to get to that pitch. That time he was able to lay off the same slider that he's been swinging at all night. They're going to try to go back in with the slider once more.
Pulled it foul.
Yeah, that one was a little flatter. That ball kind of stayed on the same plane. The good slider that goes down and across is the one that he's been swinging over the top of. That time that pitch stayed a little flat.
Well, the theme earlier this week was opportunity. And what it's become now, I believe, for the Cubs is just get it done. Style points don't matter. And that can apply to Sean's start tonight. 4 hits in the first 2 innings, but 5 stranded, and Ludwig swings and misses. And it gets away from Lee, and by the time he got it, he was off the bag. So a strikeout, but Ludwig is on. And there will be an error on Jason Kendall. That's the 3rd error for the Cubs in the doubleheader.
Jason bounced one to first base in the ball game last night. A very similar play, a strike 3 in the dirt. He kind of lobbed it down to Derek Lee in the dirt, but Derek Lee was able to pick it last night. It looked like D. Lee recovered. But Paul Schreiber saying that perhaps he pulled his foot off the bag. It looked like Derek had his foot on the bag while he had possession of that baseball. Just a sloppy play nonetheless. That should never happen.
The 3rd strikeout for Marshall. So this is essentially becoming a 4-out inning. I don't know if I've seen a play quite like that. Usually when a guy reaches, tough to tell.
Yeah.
Usually after a guy reaches, it's because of a wild pitch or a passed ball. But the only thing that had to be done there was a good throw from Kendall to Lee. But, you know, the good thing is the Cubs were able to work around their errors in the first ball game, in the 2nd and the 6th.
And by all rights, the error to Alfonso Soriano in left field should have been a base hit. He lost the ball in the sun clearly. And that's after a streak of 7 straight errorless games by the Cubs.
I think this illustrates our point about pitch counts. Carlos Zambrano last night threw 101 pitches in 8 innings, but wasn't in much trouble all night. Sean Marshall has thrown 56, but it's almost fair to say he's dealt with more stress and has thrown about half the same amount of pitches.
We talked about Soriano's error in left field in game 1. Should have been a base hit in my eyes. We talked about official scores and how they view plays differently. Most of the official scorekeepers that I've come into contact with would call this a base hit. You could clearly see Soriano lost it in the sun, just kind of stuck his glove up at the last instant to hope that the ball landed in his glove.
How about that swing by Edmonds?
Pitch was up and in. That's the one you almost foul off your own face if you're not careful. I think that's why Edmonds was leaning back out of the way as he swung that bat.
Kick and the next pitch. High in the air, Soriano's coming over, but it's going to slice into the stands.
It looked like Jim Edmonds was asking Jason Kendall about the location of that pitch. The home plate umpire had run up the third baseline to get a good look at that pop foul. I don't know about Jason, but I used to always lie to him. Was that a good pitch? Oh yeah, man, that's right down the middle. You sure it wasn't on the outer third? No, right down the middle.
Ball 4, a 9-pitch sequence. No hits in the inning, but 2 base runners. Well, this is going to be a bullpen night for Lou Piniella. Question is going to be, can he get Marshall through 5? I think that would be ideal at this point with 60 pitches through 2 1/3. A Nebraska Cornhuskers fan.
I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, what did the players do between the end of game 1 and the beginning of game 2? And of course, on a football Saturday, a lot of them were huddled around the television sets watching the various college games. Saw some guys napping, other guys watching movies, just trying to find something to do to kill time. A lot of guys wandered into the weight room to get a little workout in. I would have to believe that it was a lot more pleasant in the Cubs clubhouse between games than it was in the Cardinals.
Well, I took a brief nap up here, and I really didn't appreciate whoever put my hand in a warm glass of water. I don't appreciate. 2-1. I'm kidding. I'm told that works, but
well, now that you said it, we'll find out.
Don't try it at home. 3-1. And we're already going to see some action in the Cubs pen. Michael Wirtz. The 3-1 pitch, a strike, 3-2.
Not sure where Molina was going on that pitch. Maybe a little high. Even from that angle, when that ball crossed the front of home plate, it appeared to be up above the belt a little bit. Doesn't mean necessarily it was out of the strike zone high. It's pretty much dependent on the plate umpire on a given night whether he'll give you that high strike or not.
A payoff pitch with the runners going, popped up, foul territory. Just no room for Kendall.
given the fact that the runners were moving on that 3-2 pitch with one out, I might see Sean Marshall use that inside move to second base just to try to keep those base runners a little closer to the bag.
And he's trying to work around an error after a strikeout. Followed that up with a walk to Edmonds. Now it's 3-2 on Molina. Yeah, let's try that move.
Just to shorten up the leads a little bit, slow them down. I still think they're going to be running on the pitch. Molina doesn't strike out a lot, only 42 punch outs in almost 330 at bats this year.
DeRosa sneaking in. There they go, and bounced foul with the Cubs dugout. They're in the 7th in Milwaukee. The Reds have scored a run. It's 4-2 Brewers. And the Reds have a runner at third with only one out. Brian Schaus is on, facing Ken Griffey Jr. We'll keep you posted. Jason Kendall just asked for time, as indicated by Marty Foster. Runners going. Line toward the corner. Fair ball. Ludwig scores. Edmonds in. It's 3-2 on the Molina double.
An extended at bat for Yadier Molina. Had an opportunity to see everything Sean Marshall threw in that sequence, and finally able to keep one fair down in the left field corner. There's an angled wall right there in foul territory, probably about 10 or 12 feet into fair territory. A severe angle, and Soriano tried to play that angle, but after the ball hit the angled wall, it hit the flat wall in straightaway left field and kind of got away from him a little bit.
There's another base hit. Jose Oquendo's going to try it. Molina toward the plate. The throw by Jones is tardy, and it's a tie ball game, 3-3.
Espizio jumping on a high pitch. Ground ball right back through the middle of the field. Really slowed down on that outfield grass.
So back to even. Pinheiro showing bunt toward third, picked up by Ramirez, but he'll go to first. DeRosa covering. He thought about second. And Lou Piniella coming out to the mound. That's going to be it for Sean Marshall after just 2 2/3. This pitching change brought to you by Jimmy John's. For freaky fast delivery, visit jimmyjohns.com. 3-3 from St. Louis.
With convenient flights every day, Southwest Airlines gives you the freedom to do business out of town and still come home at night.
Winston, I'm home.
Fly one of Southwest's 11 daily nonstops from Chicago Midway to the San Francisco Bay Area for just $99, including new service to San Francisco International.
You are now free to move about the country.
I am your idea, and I'm huge. Tab me, bind me, stack me, send me round. I'm your big idea. You can't stop this. I'm your biggest idea. Enrico moves me, shows me, sends me. Leaves me behind, but never in a bind. It's the big time. I'm your your big idea. Enrico's how we go and go and go.
It's the Chevy Model Year-End event, and we've just extended the best offer ever on the all-new Silverado Crew Cab. 0% APR for 60 months on Silverado half-ton crew cabs for well-qualified buyers. Just click and go online to find the one you want, then get to your Chevy dealer. That's right, we've just extended 0% APR for 60 months on Silverado Crew Cab.
Click on ChevyDriveChicago.com, then see your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealer.
Well, bullpen night as Michael Wirtz takes over for Sean Marshall in the third inning. Runner at second, 2 outs, and the Cardinals have tied it up. In fairness to Marshall, he had a strikeout of Ryan Ludwig for the second out. But then a throwing error by Jason Kendall allowed Ludwig to reach. He then walked Edmonds. Molina, after a long at bat, doubled into the corner to drive in 2, and then Spezio with an RBI hit. Sean might have been a little rusty tonight. It had been a couple of weeks since his last start, and Lou Piniella was not going to let him get too deep into this ball game, considering how much he struggled.
Well, and just what you would expect for a guy that hasn't started in a couple of weeks. Inconsistency. Threw some real good pitches in the ball game, but he also made some mistakes up over the heart of the plate.
And to be honest, it could have been a lot worse in the first 2 innings. He found a way to get out of those 2 frames without allowing a run, but not the case in the third. Half swing strike on Cairo. Reds have added another run. It's only 4-3. They're only down a run in Milwaukee. Jones going back. Can't get it. And the Cardinals lead. And Cairo on his way to third base with an easy triple. That ball was shot out of a cannon. And all of a sudden the Cubs are trailing.
Cairo showing surprising power to straightaway center field. One ball got over the head of Jock Jones in a hurry. Short hop the wall. High bounce back toward the infield. Well, I'll tell you what, Len, I say it all the time. The importance of defense cannot be overstated in this game. The error by Jason Kendall to open the door here. I look at the bunt by Joel Pinheiro to Aramis Ramirez at third base in a sacrifice bunt situation. That should have been a forced play at second base, a possible double play. Jock Jones didn't charge the base hit into center field as hard as he probably should have. Yadier Molina, one of the slowest runners in the National League, was able to score from second base on a hard hit ball to center field. Just those little defensive things. You have to play solid defense 100% of the time.
Swing and a miss by Taguchi. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, the Cubs have had a couple of runners thrown out at the plate. Best thing that's happened tonight is Soriano hit another home run. Kevin Hart is in the pen. He might need another home run or 2. Feel like they're going to get a lot more runs as long as Pinheiro stays in the game. They have 7 hits off the Cardinals starter in the first 3 innings. They need to stop the bleeding here in the bottom of the third inning. 4 in for St. Louis to take the lead.
Well, you can be pretty sure that Joel Pinheiro will be on a very short leash when he goes back out there to take the mound. Troy Percival has been playing catch out there in the Cardinals bullpen.
Line and caught by Derek Lee. But a damaging inning. 4 runs for the Cardinals. They now lead by a run.
The next generation Nissan Altima. Recently awarded 5 stars for crash safety, the highest mark possible. Yup, it's that good. The Nissan Altima from just $19,800 at your Nissan dealer now.
If you've ever lost your phone, you know that the worst part is losing what's inside of it. It's your whole world of names and numbers. Friends, family, work. Lose your phone and you're lost. At US Cellular, we understand. That's why we offer our contact backup feature, so you'll never lose your names or numbers, even if you lose your phone. We'll get your world back in your hands in no time. US Cellular is wireless where you matter most.
US Cellular connects with you.
Some people see style. Some people see performance. We all see something that catches our eye, like the Pontiac G6. The same fuel economy as Camry, with even more horsepower. The new Pontiac, designed for action.
Now the 2007 G6 sedan starts at $16,895. But hurry, because inventory is limited. For more information, visit PontiacDrive.com.
When the Cubs game is over, stay tuned for Cubs postgame live on Comcast Sportsnet. All the interviews and press conferences, in-depth game highlights, and Dan Plesac breaks down all the action. Cubs postgame live after the game on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
Time now for our Aflac trivia question. Who has more Cy Young Award winners, the Cardinals or the Cubs? That is in franchise history. We'll answer that question coming up.
Kind of an odd little interchange there between innings as Pinheiro took his warm-up pitches. A ball got away from Yadier Molina. He turned around to find Marty Foster, the home plate umpire, to get another one, and Marty was nowhere to be seen. Molina had to call over to the ball boy on the first base side, ask him to dig in that bag of game balls they have over there and throw another one out onto the field.
Well, time to get the offense revved up again. Been a while since they've been at the plate. It was a long half inning. The line on Sean Marshall tonight, 2 2/3, 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 earned. He walked a pair and struck out 3.
And with Kevin Hart continuing to throw in the Cubs bullpen out there in left center field, you have to believe that Lou is going to pinch hit for that pitcher spot, due up third in this inning.
To Kendall is low and outside. Spezio went down to a knee, stretched by Pujols, and they get the out. Bob, I want to go back to that play, the strikeout and then the error on Kendall for this reason. Jason was talking with the home plate umpire, Marty Foster, in the aftermath, and I just had wondered maybe if he thought that Ludwig somehow got in his way, but it looks here on the replay like that. No, that didn't happen at all.
Yeah, nothing right there. Maybe as Ludwig ran down the line, Jason thought he might have done something to interfere with that throw, but I think the bottom line is Jasel didn't throw the ball down there the way he should. He just kind of lobbed it over the shoulder of Ryan Ludwig in the dirt for Derek Lee and making it a very tough play.
Ontario doubled in the second to snap an 0 for 12, but he was later thrown out by Sotaguchi as he tried to score on a Sean Marshall single. In the 2-1 pitch, hit foul on the ground. 4-3 here, 4-3 in Milwaukee. The Brewers have the lead there as they bat in the bottom of the 7th. Mike Stanton is on for the Reds. Did I hear correctly that Notre Dame was shut out today?
I believe it was 38-zip. Oof.
So Michigan with its first win. And the Irish 0-3.
I think Jeff Samardzija made a real good decision.
Yeah. Samardzija just finished up his pro campaign at AA Tennessee. Nice catch by that Cardinal fan in the front row. The question is, if he saw Molina coming over, would he have reached over? He's saying, oh.
Well, fortunately, it didn't come into play. The ball wasn't popped that high in the air. Molina didn't have a chance to get there.
Deep to right. Ludwig has it. And Michael Wirtz will come to the plate.
I think this is one of those situations. If the Cubs had a runner on base, we probably would have seen a pinch hitter right here in this situation. But with 2 outs and nobody on, Lou's going to try to get one more inning out of Michael Wirtz. I mean, we still need to get 6 innings out of the bullpen at this point. So not quite as anxious to pull the plug on a relief pitcher with no opportunity to score a run here.
It's Brendan Ryan slinging it across to Pujols. And Pinheiro now has sent down 6 Cubs in a row. 4-3 Cardinals.
You hear about Pensky?
No.
Got hurt, missed work. Thought his major medical was enough. Poor guy. Didn't have Aflac.
What does Aflac do?
Let's say this is major medical, right? Well, see the hole? That's where Aflac comes in. Helps pay for groceries, rent, all kinds of bills. Major medical? Poor Pensky. He thought he had enough coverage.
Aflac. Ask about it at work.
Plan your next corporate or social function in one of Wrigley Field's private party accommodations. Wrigley Field offers a variety of private catered opportunities to host and impress your group. The Mezzanine Suites, presented by Nuveen Investments, has 4 convenient rental plans to fit all budgets and needs. For larger parties of 75 to 100, the Batter's Eye Lounge, located in the center field Bud Light bleachers, provides a unique view of the game. All private party accommodations provide generous food and beverage packages as well as VIP parking. Call 773-404-CUBS or visit Cubs.com.
It's the Chevy Model Year-End event. And now, getting the new Tahoe you want is easy. Just click and go online 24/7 to check out great offers. Find out everything you need to know and see what's under the hood. But do it now. Then get to your dealer before yours is gone at the Chevy Model Year-End event. Get an 07 Tahoe 1LT 4x4 starting at $37,905 after $2,000 cash back.
Click on ChevyDriveChicago.com. Then see your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealer.
Time to answer the Aflac trivia question. Who has more Cy Young Award winners, the Cardinals or Cubs? Talking all time. Cubs with 4, the Cardinals with 3. Bob Gibson with 2 of those for the Cardinals. Chris Carpenter the other 2 years ago. And for the Cubs, Jenkins, Suter, Sutcliffe, and Greg Maddux. 1956 was the inaugural year of the Cy Young Award. I don't know the answer to which franchise has the most, but I would have to think the Dodgers would be pretty high on that list in the National League.
Baltimore had a nice run there for a while.
Yeah.
Some of those great pitching staffs they had.
And anywhere Roger Clemens has been.
Yeah.
Atlanta, just in the 90s alone. Okay, the Dodgers have 7. The Arizona Diamondbacks with 5. Brandon Webb, the latest last year. For the first 4, Randy Johnson.
I believe he won.
I think it might have been
in a row. It seems like he did.
Pretty sure of that. Yep. Yeah, Randy Johnson with 4, Brandon Webb with 1.
Brandon Webb possibly in line to win another one this year. Getting some stiff competition from Jake Peavy, and we were talking about it between games. Aaron Harang from Cincinnati, a guy that just doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Two and 2. The next pitch pulled on the ground. That's a fair ball. It's scooted under Ramirez. Soriano picks it up. It's a double. Well, I'm telling you, that error by Jason Kendall somehow awakened the Cardinals bats. I mean, they did have 4 hits in the first 2 innings, but all of a sudden in the 3rd inning they started taking more pitches and they come up with some big clutch hits.
Well, he had 4 hits through the first 2, but one of those was a bunt hit and another was an infield single. That one just kind of skipped under the glove of Aramis Ramirez down into the corner. Cardinals have the leadoff man on here in the bottom of the 4th.
Just to finish up our Cy Young conversation, the all-time record, Roger Clemens has 7. Randy Johnson with 5. Carlton and Maddux with 4 apiece. Koufax, Pedro Martinez, Palmer, Seaver all have 3. Pujols was jammed. He fought it off, and it's 1-1 after the foul strike. Was able to sneak in behind Brendan Ryan, and Wirtz stepped off the mound, or off the rubber I should say. Ullman's up along with Kevin Hart. The pitch.
And after Pujols, Jim Edmonds just a couple of hitters away. I'm sure that's why Will Ullman begins to crank it up down in the Cubs bullpen quickly.
A 2-1 from Wirtz. Golfed in the air the other way. And Cliff Floyd. Nice catch and a good throw right to Ramirez at third base, with Ryan holding at second. He put that one right on the money.
We don't see Cliff cut it loose out there in right field very often, but he did this time. It was a good decoy at second base by Brendan Ryan. Turned his back to the plate, took 2 or 3 steps off the bag as if he were going to try to advance to third, and Cliff Floyd just fired a rocket all the way to Ramirez at third base.
That surprised Aramis a little bit as he stumbled after making the catch. Another fly ball. And Jones over to get it. Ryan tags this time. Makes a big turn. Fortunately, DeRosa able to get that throw back from Jock Jones.
I'm not sure Jock knew how many outs there were right there. He called off Cliff Floyd, caught the ball, and just kind of glided over into right field as if it were the third out of the inning. Right there you see no awareness for the runner tagging up at second base and moving to third. Cliff's camped underneath that ball, ready to make a catch, a similar play that he just made on the ball before, and Ryan takes a hard round at third base. Boy, this is more mental and physical mistakes than the Cubs have made in a couple of weeks in this ball game here, and we're only in the bottom of the 4th inning.
Blue making the call for the left-hander Will Oman. He's going to match up. He has a deep bullpen. This pitching change brought to you by Jimmy John's. For freaky fast delivery, visit jimmyjohns.com. We'll be back in a moment.
They've stormed beaches and freed countries. They've raised our flag and our hope. They've been called leathernecks. They've been called devil dogs. But above all, they're called Marines.
What was once a measure of precision is now being taken for a little drive. An available 6-speed automatic. Paddle shifters. And highly responsive electronic power steering. The Lexus IS. At your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer.
Of course Geico sponsors Mike's Race Car because they insure everything race car fans love. RVs, motorcycles, ATVs. Tell you one thing they can insure. Lauren Wallace. Because Lauren Wallace is made of lightning. Those guys are like, hey, where's Lauren? He was just here a minute ago. I'm 100 miles away, son. Ready to strike.
Geico, saving you money on insurance for your car and the other stuff that moves you.
Southpaw Will Oman comes on to face Jim Edmonds. Well, it's almost like you treat this like 2 games. You kind of match up here as if you were in the 8th inning, and if you can get out of this inning, then you hope maybe the next guy can give you 2 or 3, and then you work the back end like you normally would in the 7th through the 9th. But as far as saving your bullpen, Bob, it's almost more important in this spot than it might be in the 8th inning. As early as it is, you don't want to have to use up your pen this early. Ryan with a huge lead at third base. Ramirez was thinking about sneaking over there. He's pulled way off the line with Edmonds at the plate.
You know, the rule of thumb for a base runner at third base is you can take as much lead off that bag as the third baseman is away from the base. You can see Ryan creeping down that line. Ramirez shaded over in the hole between third and short just a little bit with the left-handed hitting Edmonds at the plate.
Ullman's 1-1. It's outside on a slider.
Really, the only advantage to getting that big lead at third base for Brendan Ryan is the fact that the ball is in the dirt and gets just a short distance away from Jason Kendall. He might be more likely to try to score.
First action for Ullman since Sunday in Pittsburgh. Ullman spent some time at AAA Iowa in August, at a .270 ERA and 9 outings. Popped up by Edmonds, short center. And it's going to be taken by DeRosa. Ryan's leadoff double does not result in any runs. 4-3 Cardinals after 4.
Some people see style. Some people see performance. We all see something that catches our eye. Like the Pontiac G6. The same fuel economy as Camry, with even more horsepower. The new Pontiac, designed for action.
Now the 2007 G6 sedan starts at $16,895. But hurry, because inventory is limited. For more information, visit PontiacDrive.com.
J.D. Power Automotive Ratings. Everybody wants them. We've got them in our new interactive video buying guides, now at vehix.com.
When you need to mix it or fix it, don't risk it. Turn to the friendly experts at Heyman's Westside Ace Hardware. From painting to plumbing, electrical to pipe cutting, Westside Ace has everything to help you with those home repairs, including screens and window repairs, key duplication, and complete sharpening service. And a huge selection of nuts, bolts, and washers, sold in packages or individually. Heyman's Westside Ace, conveniently located at 4th and Division in Davenport. When you need it fixed.
McDonald's Sports Rise every morning only on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Midas. Visit Midas for brakes, expert auto maintenance, and tires. And by the Toyota Tundra, the truck that's changing it all. Find out how at whytundra.com.
Hey, Cub fans, become a founding member of the Cubs Club, the new official online fan club for the Chicago Cubs. Members will receive benefits unavailable to other fans, including a membership card, access to the post-game press conferences, 24/7 interactive cameras of Wrigley Field, and exclusive editorial content provided by the staff of Vineline. Join today by visiting Cubs.com, where baseball is always on.
Top of the order. Soriano hit a 2-run homer his last time up. That was a long time ago. It gives him 27 on the year. And 2 today. He hit a game winner in the opener. Has 5 on the trip. And the entire vibe of this game has changed completely. Now the good news for the Cubs, are only down 1. After a hot start, Cardinals have all the momentum. Soriano thrown out, and Joel Pinheiro all of a sudden is cruising. Troy Percival is up in the St. Louis pen.
He's ready to go. Percival was throwing an inning ago in preparation to come into the ball game. He's just standing out there now in case the Cubs get something going. Throw a few more pitches and he'll be ready to come into the ball game.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that the Cubs are very fortunate to only be down a run. They really have been outplayed tonight. Pujols to Pinheiro, 2 outs.
I mean, only one actual physical error in the game, and that was Jason Kendall's lob throw to Derek Lee at first base on the strikeout. But mental mistakes galore in the early part of this ball game.
Meanwhile, in Milwaukee, Derek Turnbull on, trying to set up for Francisco Cordero. Got the first 2 out, but there are now 2 on for the Reds. And a 4-3 Milwaukee lead. They're in the 8th inning. Fly ball right field. And it's caught by Ludwig. A 7-pitch 5th inning for Pinheiro. Still 4-3 Cardinals.
I'm on the 415.
Let's see what kind of plane you'll be on today.
Step over there and spin that wheel. Come on.
Come on, big plane.
Woo, big plane, big plane, big plane. Big plane, big plane. No. Small plane.
On Southwest Airlines, you'll never fly in a small plane. We guarantee every seat on every flight is on a big, comfortable Boeing 737.
You are now free to move about the country.
Hey, there's no room in here.
Why don't you develop a photo once in a while?
You've got to be kidding me.
Uh-oh, somebody's gonna get deleted.
Oh, no.
Not me. I got deleted last time.
If only your memory card always had space for those great new photos. Fortunately, you can put your photos on Walgreens.com and have prints ready for friends and family to pick up at multiple Walgreens nationwide, usually within an hour.
GMC invites you to experience something thoroughly advanced, entirely re-engineered, totally innovative, and with the security of the best coverage in America, totally confident.
Now get 0% APR for 60 months on an all-new 07 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab. That's over $6,500 in average finance savings. For more information, visit gmcdrive.com.
Time now for a GMC Sports Update.
Josh Mora here in our downtown Chicago studios. While the Cubs chase down a division title, Jim Thome is chasing a milestone on the south side. Still 1 homer shy of 500, facing the Angels and Jared Weaver tonight. In the 6th, his 3rd at bat, he harmlessly flies out on the infield. He is 0 for 2 with a walk, and he is due to bat in the bottom of the 9th. Sox trail the Angels 2-1 right now in the top of the 9th. And remember, Dan Plesac will join me for postgame live following the game. But now let's go back to Len and Bob in the loop. Boys.
Josh, it's 4-3 St. Louis. The Cubs led 3-0 early, but a big 4-run third. 2 of those runs were unearned for the Cardinals.
Yeah, unfortunately, and we've talked about the last couple innings, just some more mental mistakes than you'd like to see. The ball club played a great game this afternoon, very relaxed between games, and you hope they'd allowed some of that momentum to carry over. But the Cardinals are actually the team that came out here playing like they want to win this one.
And a team that's trying to avoid what would be a 10th consecutive defeat. Rookie right-hander Kevin Hart, who sports a really good cutter, will come on to pitch. Well, Ned Yost, Bob, has brought on his closer in the 8th. Francisco Cordero trying to get the final 4 outs for the Brewers. We're at that time of the year now.
Yeah, you can understand what he's trying to do, the inconsistency of Derek Turnbow, but you're also putting Cordero in an unfamiliar situation. Rarely does he come in with runners on base in the 8th inning.
Kevin Hart's first appearance in 6 days. Gave up a run in an inning and a third on Sunday at Pittsburgh.
You know, it should be pointed out, Len, in September when the rosters are expanded and Kevin Hart and others are called up to fill out the roster, and we say he hasn't pitched for 8 days, 10 days, 12 days, whatever the case may be, he is getting regular work in the bullpen. They make sure that he's throwing on somewhat of a regular schedule. They might not be facing major league hitters, but he is getting his throwing in, so it's not like he's just been sitting down there watching since his last outing.
Flared and caught by DeRosa.
You know, for some of these guys coming up from the minor leagues who have had to shoulder a heavy workload as far as innings pitched and pitches thrown in the minor leagues, it probably does some of these guys a little bit of good to see less action at this time of year.
And the other thing to think about as they try to pitch the Cubs into the postseason, we're going to have a few guys in that bullpen who are going to be on the bubble for the postseason roster. It's a great problem to have, to think about a postseason roster, but it may come down to a tough decision or two. How many lefties do you keep? Which starter or starters end up in your bullpen? Cordero, by the way, got out of the top of the 8th, so Milwaukee bats in the last of that inning, leading 4-3. Cubs lead the division by 2 full games as they started game 2 after a big 3-2 win in the opener. In right. You don't have to get too far ahead of ourselves, but just for hypothetical sake, I mean, you look at your bench possibly in the postseason. Do you feel more comfortable with a veteran backup, Henry Blanco, or Giovanni Soto, who's had a great offensive year? Do you feel like you need Felix P.A., who's been a late defensive replacement, even though he hasn't done a whole lot at the plate? I mean, those are decisions that you hope Lou Piniella and Jim Hendry are going to have to make at some point.
And some of the decisions, especially with the pitching staff, may be determined by who your possible opponent will be in that first round of the playoffs. Maybe you need the extra lefty in the bullpen. Maybe you'd be better served to go with a right-handed long guy in the bullpen, depending on who you're playing. Well, a lot of different options, a lot of different ways you can go. But I'm sure Lou and Larry haven't thought too much about that at this point. They're just trying to get through this regular season, or trying to get through this ball game right here tonight, and figure out a way to get back on top of the Cardinals.
A 2-strike pitch. Pinheiro swings and misses. Kevin Hart goes 1-2-3 in the 5th. 4-3 St. Louis.
I wanted to add something new to our relationship, but I was afraid to bring it up. Then a close friend turned us on to KiaMatch.com, and in just minutes, we found the perfect companion for both of us.
The Kia Sportage. I felt so safe.
And with 28 miles per gallon, we could just go forever.
Find your match at KiaMatch.com or visit your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Kia retailers.
I I see skies of blue.
Some people feel it knowing they're covered wherever they go. Others experience it through the joy of exertion, while some find it in the support of people who care. It's wellness. And at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, yours means the world to us. Because when it all comes together, we want to give you the freedom to experience wellness everywhere.
What a wonderful world.
The 2007 Chevy Equinox with 5-star front and side crash safety ratings. And now every Equinox comes with something Ford and Toyota don't. The best coverage in America, including the GM 100,000-mile warranty.
Use $3,000 cash back to get a Chevy crossover, an 07 Equinox LS front-wheel drive starting at $19,865.
Log on now to ChevyDriveChicago.com. Check us out today.
Monday, Central rivals collide on the north side as Derek Lee and the Cubs square off with the Reds in high definition, followed by Cubs post-game live. Cubs-Reds, Monday night at 7 on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
Tomorrow, get a complete recap of the Bears and Chiefs Week 2 matchup on U.S. Cellular. Bears post-game live. Pat Boyle and former Bears Jim Miller, Jerry Azuma, and Dan Jiggets break down all the action. Plus, William Jackson brings you interviews with the players. U.S. Cellular Bears post-game live tomorrow immediately after the game, only on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. The home run ball has been the Cubs' best friend offensively in the month of September. And they're one swing away from tying this game up, down 4-3 in the 6th. Cubs are back to even in one-run decisions, 21 and 21 after a dismal start in that category. Edmonds, the running catch. I want to say the Cubs were 2 and 12 in one-run games to start the year. But we thought it might even out. All the other numbers indicated that the Cubs were better than their record. And eventually it did even out.
Well, and it seems very obvious that if the Cubs would have been hitting home runs all season at the same rate they've hit them here in the month of September, that record would have been considerably better early in the season.
I think that's a good point. I think the bullpen has been considerably better.
But you know what happened in April and May? It doesn't matter right now.
No, it doesn't. And, you know, some people don't want to believe this, but there is luck involved. And sometimes it just doesn't go your way. And it wasn't going the Cubs' way in a lot of close games early, and it has lately. And you'd rather be lucky sometimes. But good teams also make their own breaks.
Well, I think that's one of those things that over the course of the season, the breaks probably even out. It's what you do with those breaks when you're presented with the opportunity, the extra base runner or the extra base that a guy is able to take. What do you do on the following at bat? Do you take advantage of that break or do you let it slide away?
And speaking of luck, Rich Hill has had bad luck. Not getting much run support this year. It's pretty random. There's not much of an explanation for it. Time now for a Coors Light cold blast to the booth. Dave Bates from Chicago. Hey guys, always enjoy your telecasts. Thanks, Dave. What do you guys do in between a day-night doubleheader? Well, we tried to relax for a little bit. I actually worked ahead and started to jot down some things for the Cincinnati series.
We both spent some time down in the clubhouse immediately after the game, talked to some of the players, snuck in the lunchroom, and I cleaned up some of the scraps that were left over.
You know, you put on the headphones for a few minutes. I tried to get a quick nap in just to take your mind off things for 10 or 15 minutes, and then right back at them for game 2.
And I did find an area out behind the food concourse behind us where you could actually go outside and stand in the sun for a little while. That felt pretty good. It actually wasn't as long as I was anticipating. I really thought it was going to be a long drag of a day with that big space between ball games. We even thought about going back to the hotel briefly. It's only a few blocks down the street to go back to the team hotel, but it passed fairly quickly.
And that's because the Cubs won their 4th in a row.
You got that right.
There's a big reason it felt like it flew by. We're all ready to get going here for game 2.
I did see a couple of the players showered up and put on their street clothes and either headed back to the hotel or maybe a local restaurant close by to grab a bite to eat between games. Then most of the guys just kind of hung around the clubhouse, as I said earlier, watching football games.
Called strike 3, and all of a sudden Joel Pinheiro has turned it on. 12 straight Cubs have been retired. DeRosa did not like that call. Still 4-3.
The next generation Nissan Altima, recently awarded 5 stars for crash safety, the highest mark possible. Yup, it's that good. The Nissan Altima from just $19,800 at your Nissan dealer now.
Thursday nights at 11, the Moose is loose on Comcast Sportsnet.
It's just me, guys.
This whole party's out of control.
Don't miss Countdown to Kickoff with Moose and Mohammed, presented by IPA. Thursday nights at 11 on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans.
Fridays at 7, Out of Jimmy's Head, Cartoon Network's first live-action original series.
Jimmy just happens to have the brain of America's greatest cartoonist.
I got the brain. Based on the hit movie Reanimated. One kid struggles to survive against all oddballs.
Yes!
For Jimmy Roberts, getting the girl is a no-go, but living a crazy life is a no-brainer.
What do you guys think? This is great.
Sweet. Out of Jimmy's Head. New episodes Fridays at 7.
Only on Cartoon Network.
I have some questions I'd like to ask you. Some questions about your gambling. Have you ever maxed out your credit card on gambling? Or gambled just to escape? Have you ever sold your possessions to keep gambling? I did. And it cost me my friends, my student loans, and even my scholarship. But you don't have to lose what I lost. You can get help. Just call 1-800-BETS-OFF. I did, and I got my life back.
McDonald's Sports Rise, every morning, only on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
Tickets are available now for this final homestand coming up, in particular the night games against the Reds. September 17th, 18th, and 19th. To purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com, call 1-800-THE-CUBS, or visit the Wrigley Field box office. Kevin Hart's done a nice job. Went 1-2-3 in the 5th. And he faces the number 9 hitter, Miguel Cairo. 1 strike. Cubs bats have gone silent against Joel Pinheiro after they scored 3 times in the first 2 innings. Oh-2, and he struck him out. Good slider by Kevin Hart.
I'll tell you what, Len, you can't help but be impressed by Kevin Hart. First major league go round. He's got that trick pitch, that cut fastball that he can throw on both sides of the plate. Has a good, sharp, late breaking slider. And it worked out well that he was able to come into the ball game when he did, facing the bottom part of the Cardinals order, got his legs underneath him out there on the mound, had a very quick 1-2-3 inning, and now feels a little more confident about his ability to work through the top half of the Cardinals order.
Kevin went to the University of Maryland and was taken by the Orioles in the 11th round in 2004. Big league debut was on September 4th against the Dodgers. Bases loaded, no outs. That's when he came in. And he walked the first hitter. Might have been some nerves to force in a run, but then he eventually got out of it with no further damage. Came back, allowed a one-out triple, and escaped that inning too. DeRosa to Derek Lee, 2 outs. Did you renew acquaintances with anybody from that Cardinal '87 team? They had a pretty good turnout tonight as they honored the National League champions from 20 years ago.
No, I did not.
Jack Clark was here, former teammate of yours.
Ozzie Smith. John Tudor. I still have nightmares about John Tudor. He could throw me 1,000 changeups and I wouldn't make contact with any of them. Ricky Horton, who does some broadcasting here for the Cardinals. Whitey Herzog, the White Rat, back in St. Louis.
Vince Coleman. Joe McGrain, who now broadcasts games for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Danny Cox.
And Danny Cox just lives across the river. There's a wonderful piece of property over there with some fishing lakes. He allows guys from visiting teams when they come to town to go over there and borrow his boat and his fishing gear.
Called strike on Brendan Ryan, who has 2 hits and 3 trips. Hart has a sign from Kendall. The wind and the pitch just reached out, fouled it away, and that cutter.
Well, it was especially good to see Jack Clark, a former teammate of mine with the Giants, played on that '87 Cardinals team. Suffered a horrific motorcycle accident down in Arizona a few years ago and was really in bad shape for a while, but he looks great.
Yeah, I saw Jack Clark in Milwaukee. I want to say it was at Harley Fest one year. Should make sense. No, you know me, I like to hang out at all the biker hangouts.
Yeah, I can see you there.
Well, let's just put it this way. He blends right in. And Ryan is going to hustle down that ball. Karen back to Kendall.
Just got underneath the glove of Jason Kendall. A little bit of late movement there. Fortunately, bounces right back to Kendall. This at bat is a little concerning. I'm always concerned when Albert Pujols comes up. I don't care who's pitching, but that cut fastball straying out over the plate where Pujols could extend his arms, it's a dangerous pitch. It's a good location for it. Started on the corner, break it off the plate away.
J.J. Hardy hit his 25th home run, a solo shot in the bottom of the 8th. So they've now gone to the 9th in Milwaukee. The Brewers leading the Reds 5-3. And now 2 outs and nobody on. Cordero facing Brandon Phillips. Kerry Wood is up after getting the win in Game 1. Scott Air, the lefty. I'll tell you, Bob, that is a great sign. It says a lot about how far Kerry Wood has come, and his stuff the last couple of outings has been really, really good. So his arm feels good enough for him to at least get ready and possibly pitch twice in the same day. Called strike as the runner was going. He goes into center, and Ryan ends up at third. It'll be the second error on Jason Kendall tonight. Stolen base for Ryan, and then the error allowing him to get to third.
And maybe a little bit of an element of surprise here. Normally you don't expect players to run with Pujols at the plate and 2 outs in the inning. You don't want to risk getting thrown out. Unfortunately, Mark DeRosa got over there and just couldn't get up in the air. His legs were in such a position that he couldn't jump for that errant throw, and it sailed right on into center field.
And here comes Lou with the count 2-2 on Pujols. And while he walks out, consider this. If Kerry Wood pitches in Game 2, this will probably be the first time he will have pitched in both games of a doubleheader since the infamous game back in high school. He threw 146 pitches for his Grand Prairie, Texas high school team in Game 1, and then in the nightcap came back and threw 29. A 175 pitch day. He'll come up a little short on the pitch count tonight, no matter what happens, but
well, we hope so. And you would assume Scott Air, much like Will Oman before him, is getting prepared in the event we get down to Jim Edmonds' spot in the lineup.
Now that came 2 days after the Cubs took Kerry Wood 4th in the draft. Like in 1995. Pujols lines it. DeRosa timed it beautifully and made the catch. That saved a run. Pujols slammed his helmet down to the ground. It's 4-3 Cardinals after 6.
Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you in part by American Chartered Bank. American Chartered, the bank for your business.
A lot of car ads are focused on getting you in right now. Like, if you don't hurry, you're going to feel like a fool. But think about how you're going to feel when things like gas mileage, low maintenance, and resale will really start to matter to you. Like every day that you drive your car. That's when a Toyota will make you feel like a genius.
Now, get $600 cash back on a new, fuel-efficient 2008 Toyota Corolla. Toyota, a great way to keep moving forward.
If ever you're not satisfied with one of our tires, please feel free to bring it back. Thank you. Discount Tire Company.
Low prices, more choices on the world's best brands like Michelin and B.F. Goodrich.
Some people see style. Some people see performance. We all see something that catches our eye. like the Pontiac G6. The same fuel economy as Camry, with even more horsepower. The new Pontiac, designed for action.
Now the 2007 G6 sedan starts at $16,895. But hurry, because inventory is limited. For more information, visit PontiacDrive.com.
When the Cubs game is over, stay tuned for Cubs postgame live on Comcast Sportsnet. All the interviews and press conferences, in-depth game highlights, and Dan Plisek breaks down all the action. Cubs postgame live after the game on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. Every Monday, catch the Bears recap on Comcast Sportsnet. Hear what Lovie Smith has to say about the previous game and get a preview of the upcoming weekend's matchup. Don't miss Bears recap every Monday at 5, only on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
Still 4-3 Cardinals. The last runs were scored in the third inning. And what a play by Mark DeRosa. That's a timing play right there.
Oh, it really is. He coiled, got ready to jump, realized the ball wasn't hit as hard as he initially thought, waited a second, and then went up the ladder to make the catch, frustrating the living daylights out of Albert Pujols.
Swing and a miss by Jason Kendall. Well, it's a final in Milwaukee. The Brewers beat the Reds 5-3. Jeff Suppan got his 10th win tonight against 11 defeats. He beat Kirk Saarloos. Francisco Cordero struck out 3 in an inning and a third as Kendall's hustling, and he is out. Well, I thought he was going to make it, and Jason's had a very frustrating night. Better be careful here. Arguing with Paul Schreiber, and here comes Lou. Fairly calm Lou Piniella tonight.
Get a look at the end of that play. Kendall doing everything he can to try to leg out that infield hit.
Oh, man. Ooh, he was safe.
I thought Kendall beat it by the narrowest of margins. Pretty nice recovery by Joel Pinheiro out there on the mound, though. Picked that ball up, fading away toward the shortstop position, and somehow managed to get the ball over to Pujols.
Okay.
Heater for a strike. Cubs still without a base runner since the leadoff double by Lee in the third inning. They had 3 hits in the first, 3 in the second, 1 in the third against Pinheiro. Nothing since. Fly to right, but Ludwig is there. Mike Fontenot will bat for Kevin Hart. Cubs have had a couple of runners thrown out at home plate.
Well, Derek Lee on a tag attempt on a ball hit to center field, and then Ryan Theriot. Well, that was the questionable send in my eyes. So Taguchi was coming straight in on the ball, got to it quickly. Theriot was still a step and a half away from third base when Taguchi had the ball in his glove and made an accurate throw to home plate to make it an easy out.
Now, after after Tarrio was thrown out, Soriano hit a 2-run homer.
I think you may have to call another 2-run homer here pretty soon.
Okay.
As soon as we get somebody on.
Yeah, I would prefer to wait until Cubs get a base runner.
Well, I was anticipating Mike Fontenot getting on here for Soriano.
Sounds good. Sean Marshall started for the Cubs, and it did not go well. 2 2/3, 4 runs, 2 earned. Gobbles it up. Then Pinheiro with his 4th consecutive 1-2-3 inning. Stretch time from St. Louis. 4-3 Cards.
At the Chevy Model Year-End event, the last of the 07s are going fast. So you better act now. Just click and go online 24/7 to check out great offers. Then get to your Chevy dealer before yours is gone. Qualified lessees can get a low-mileage lease on an 07 Impala 1LT for around $199 a month. Residency restrictions apply. Call for details. Click on ChevyDriveChicago.com. Then see your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealer.
Of course Geico sponsors Mike's Race Car because they insure everything race car fans love. RVs, motorcycles, ATVs. Tell you one thing they can insure them. Lauren Wallace. Because Lauren Wallace is made of lightning. Those guys are like, hey, where's Lauren? He was just here a minute ago. I'm 100 miles away, son. Ready to strike.
Geico, saving you money on insurance for your car and the other stuff that moves you.
What was once a measure of precision is now being taken for a little drive. An available 6-speed automatic. Paddle shifters. And highly responsive electronic power steering. The Lexus IS. At your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer.
Every morning, catch up on everything happening in Chicago sports with McDonald's Sports Rise. It's the perfect way to start your sports day. McDonald's Sports Rise, every morning only on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend.
Honor your loved ones with an engraved brick on the sidewalks beneath the historic Wrigley Field marquee. Join thousands of others in the commemorative paver program and make your mark on the grounds of Wrigley Field. All orders come with a replica brick for your home or office. Space is limited, so order today. For complete details, visit Cubs.com or call 1-800-851-6846. Kerry Wood won in the opener of this day-nighter for the first time this season and just his 2nd win in the last 2 years. His previous victory came on May 29th of 2006. And I'll tell you what, he has a shot to get a win tonight. If he can shut him down and the Cubs can do what they did in Game 1, he'll get another win.
And comes right out firing a first pitch slider. Good looking pitch down low and away. Almost got the swing from Ryan Ludwig. He had 2 fly ball outs and a strikeout in his 1 inning of work in Game 1 today.
Fastball at 92. We saw him up to 96 in the opener. One, 2. strikes out Ludwig. Nasty slide piece from Kerry Wood.
Just carved up Ryan Ludwig. Good fastball on the outside corner. Came back with another slider right in the same slot, breaking out of the zone low and away. Gets a defensive swing for strike 3.
Edmonds with 2 walks, a run, 0 for 1 officially. $45,894 for game 2. Almost $46,000 for game 1. So well over $90,000 for 2 baseball games in one day. Both sellouts in the 45,918 in game 1, the largest crowd of the year here at Busch Stadium.
I wonder where the other 24 people went that were here for the first game.
Maybe they had other plans. One was enough.
Dinner reservations.
Keeping an eye on the Rebels football team, trailing at home to number 24 Hawaii 14-7 in the second quarter.
It's almost as good as winning. Well, that Hawaii team could put some points on the board now. Well, the Rebels played Wisconsin tough last week.
Edmonds went. 2 strikeouts in the inning.
Elevated fastball with a little extra giddy up right there.
Now see, the problem here, batters always try to hold the bat, but they never hold it where they actually went.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I think there's an art to that. I think I talked about this last year. Mark Grace was one of the best I ever saw, and the key was to just kind of walk into it as you check your swing instead of holding your feet in your stance. Just kind of walk into the check swing. It always looks like the bat is closer to your shoulder than it really is. The worst I ever saw was Sean Dunston. He would check his swing and throw the bat up in the air. Sometimes it would end up in the infield. It was just something that he did out of habit, but obviously didn't get too many calls that yes indeed he checked. They almost always said he went too far.
Is 3-1 on Molina, who doubled home 2 and a 4-run third. It's not the first time he's tried to walk down to first base with a 3-ball count. In fact, I believe he did it in that at bat in the 3rd inning. Eventually on a 3-2 he would hit that double. Kansas State has put 61 on the board at home against Missouri State, 61-10. Number 5 Florida scored 59 points, beating Tennessee by 39.
But LSU leading Middle Tennessee 44-0 in the second period. Time to call off the Tigers.
Molina broke his bat. Ramirez will throw him out, and Kerry Wood easily gets through the 7th inning. Time to get the bats going. It's been a while. Top of the order coming up.
That's why Southwest Airlines has 8 daily nonstop flights from Chicago Midway to Philadelphia, so you can always catch a later flight. And you can count on us to get you there with our convenient nonstop flights and on-time service.
You are now free to move about the country.
Recognize your loved ones on the sidewalks beneath the historic Wrigley Field marquee. Through the commemorative paver program, you can join thousands of fans in celebrating the day you became a Cubs fan, declared your loyalty, or preserved your favorite Cubs moment. If you're a Cubs fan, how can you pass up this opportunity to become part of Wrigley Field? Each order includes a replica paver for your home or office and makes a perfect gift. So to purchase, visit Cubs.com or call today. Space is limited, so order now.
GMC invites you to experience something thoroughly advanced, entirely re-engineered, totally innovative, and with the security of the best coverage in America, totally confident.
Now get 0% APR for 60 months on an all-new 07 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab. That's over $6,500 in average finance savings. For more information, visit gmcdrive.com.
Time now for the Sharp-Aquist detail of the game. Well, a blind squirrel occasionally finds that acorn. Let's check it out. Now, how about a 2-run homer? There's a drive. Deep right center for Soriano. Gone!
Ask and ye shall receive.
3-0.
Well, we're going over to the riverboat tonight, partner.
Thank you, Fonzie. I was referring to myself, not Soriano. Well, every once in a while you get lucky, and Soriano's going to bat again. And he's going to face Russ Springer, who also pitched in Game 1.
Well, that's something that Springer is accustomed to. He's I'm sure he's thrown in both ends of doubleheaders many times in his career.
1 inning, no runs for Springer. Two strikes. Should I push my luck here? No, it's 0-2. Inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cubs 1 swing away from tying this game. Soriano, Jones, and Lee in the inning. Joel Pinheiro with a quality start. 99 pitches, 3 runs, and 7 innings. To right and deep, but sliced on a play foul.
Well, and as much as you hate to do it, you have to tip your cap to Joel Pinheiro for the way he settled in this ball game and just put 0 after 0 on the board. I didn't think he was going to make it out of the 3rd inning.
The Cardinals have received 3 quality starts in the series. Wainwright, Looper, and Pinheiro all going 7 innings. Ground ball. Spezio knocked it down, but the ball got away from him. Soriano's on. An error on Spezio, and the door is open now for the Cubs.
Hard hit ball right at him at third base. He had it in his glove, just couldn't squeeze it. Maybe a sign of rust from Spezio. He has been working out before being activated before the first game today, or was it yesterday? Yesterday. He was activated before yesterday's ball game, and he had been working out here at Busch Stadium with Alan Bennis, special assistant to Walt Jocketty. But there's nothing quite like game action. Pickoff attempt at first base was strictly an effort to see if Jock Jones would tip what he's going to do at home plate. They weren't trying to pick off Alfonso Soriano. They just wanted to see if Jock Jones would start to square around.
LoJack caught stealing report. LoJack, the only stolen vehicle recovery system operated by the police.
Spezio backs up about 5 steps from where he was positioned for the first pitch to Jock Jones.
Not hit hard. Soriano jumps over the ball. They will get one at second, and that's it. Fielder's choice for Jones.
Now Soriano tries to distract Cairo out there, jumping over the baseball, and by doing so it gave Cairo an opportunity to make that backhanded flip on the second base to get the lead runner.
Popped up by Lee. Pujols with room. Ramirez now with 2 outs. Now, based on what's happened the first 2 games of this series, you have to feel good even though the Cubs trail late. That is because they scored 3 off Jason Isringhausen, the closer, in the 9th inning last night, and the game-winning 2-run homer in game 1 today came off Ryan Franklin, Isringhausen's setup guy. Right now only 4 outs to work with. Cubs bullpen has done a stellar job keeping the Cubs close. Tying run on base. Go ahead run is at the plate. Another pop up. And the inning is over. Ramos Ramirez with a little stare down of Russ Springer. We'll be back.
I've always had this dream to be a car designer. From a very early age, I was drawing cars on every piece of paper I could find. And at age 11, I wrote Cadillac. And I was very interested in what was it that I needed to do to become a designer. I'm still following their advice, and my dream cars, they came true.
I have some questions I'd like to ask you. Some questions about your gambling. Have you ever maxed out your credit card on gambling? Or gambled just to escape? Have you ever sold your possessions to keep gambling? I did. And it cost me my friends, my student loans, and even my scholarship. But you don't have to lose what I lost. You can get help. Just call 1-800-BETS-OFF. I did, and I got my life back.
They're professional football's secret weapon.
We're back this fall with a whole new season.
The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders making the team too. Fridays at 8, 7 Central.
Only on CMT.
Stay tuned for Bacardi Late Night on Comcast Sportsnet. Time now for a Cadillac Sports Update.
Hey, Josh Moore here in our downtown Chicago studios where the Brewers are trying to keep pace with the Cubs in the Central. Tonight, hosting the Reds in Milwaukee in the third. You may think you know Prince Fielder, but you don't know Jack. His 46th home run of the year is a new Brewers single-season record. Milwaukee beat Cincinnati 5-3. Remember, Dan Plesac joins me for Post-Game Live coming up following our game. But now let's go back to Len and Bob in St. Louis. Fellas?
Josh, the Cardinals batting in the bottom of the 8th. It'll be Scott Air against Scott Spezio. And Ramirez flipped his bat in disdain after popping up. And right here, Russ Springer said something to Aramis. And Aramis eventually turned around and I think indicated he didn't appreciate what Springer said to him. Yadier Molina might have had a word or two. Flared foul by Spezio. And Matt Sinatro eventually kind of escorted Ramirez out of any trouble. Boys will be boys.
Yeah, frustration. Rami had a pitch he thought he should have done a little more with, just popped it up in the infield and was clearly frustrated.
Spezio tied it with his single in the third inning. The go-ahead hit came from Miguel Cairo on a triple. There's Isringhausen getting ready for the ninth. And with the Cubs down a run, we haven't seen the PA in for Floyd with Jones going to right switch. That is because Cliff is due to lead off the ninth inning. So Jones is still in center with Floyd in right. Lou's been able to make that switch a lot lately because the Cubs have had the advantage in the late innings. Strike three as Spezio is frozen on a fastball.
I'll tell you, Scott Air has saved some of his best for the last. He has been nails lately out of that Cubs bullpen, keeping everything down around the knees. There's a lot sharper break on his slider than he had earlier in the season when that pitch just seemed to roll up to the plate.
His backup catcher Gary Bennett, who had been bothered by a lower back problem. We haven't seen David Eckstein in the series because of back soreness. They also have Kelly Stinnett as their third catcher. Eckstein was going to play short in game one, but was scratched late, and we might not see him in the series. Chris Duncan made a surprise appearance in game one today, battling a sports hernia. There's Eckstein. Duncan struck out against Ryan Dempster to win the ninth. Driven to left, Soriano is going to leap. He caught it. Bangs up against the padding. 2 down.
Took every bit of that frame to get to that ball. Ran to the spot, fully extended that left arm, and bangs into the Boyer number out there on the left field wall.
Excellent catch by Soriano. 2 outs in the inning. Miguel Cairo with nobody on. Now, you said it. It's very difficult to sweep a doubleheader. And if the Cubs cannot come back, when you add up the day, their lead will have diminished by a half game. That's because Milwaukee was a winner tonight. So even though the Cubs won earlier, if they can't win this one, their lead will drop down to 1. The Cardinals would get back to within 6. We'll see what happens in the 9th. Floyd, DeRosa, Kendall all due up against Jason Isringhausen. Stay with us.
The next generation Nissan Altima. Recently awarded 5 stars for crash safety, the highest mark possible. Yup, it's that good. The Nissan Altima from just $19,800 at your Nissan dealer now.
Here's to waking up Thursday and thinking it's Friday.
Brighten up your morning with 2 Egg McMuffin sandwiches, 2 Sausage McMuffin with egg sandwiches, or 1 of each for just $3.
It's Wednesday, dude.
Grab the new Sun-Times and get the real Chicago story every day. Subscribe at suntimes.com. Chicago Sun-Times. Let's get into it.
At the Chevy Model Year-End event, the last of the 07s are disappearing fast. So you better act now. Just click and go online 24/7 to check out great offers. Then get to your Chevy dealer before yours is gone. Get this fuel-efficient 07 Cobalt Sedan LS starting at $13,640 after cash back.
Click on ChevyDriveChicago.com. Then see your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealer.
You're watching the home of the Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, and White Sox. Comcast Sportsnet.
After the game, stick around for Cubs Post-Game Live. Get highlights of all the action, plus analysis from Dan Plesac. Don't miss Cubs Post-Game Live immediately following the game right here on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. Cairo goes over to the hot corner. Aaron Miles now plays second base, and the closer Isringhausen will do the pitching. Kudos to the Cubs bullpen. Michael Wirtz did give up the RBI triple, so he allowed an inherited run to score, and it did give the Cardinals the lead, but that was in the 3rd inning. So officially tonight, the Cubs bullpen has been charged with 0 runs, just 2 hits, and 3 base runners. But you've had an ineffectual offense since they were able to get 3 over the first 2 innings. Cliff has yet to put a ball in play. A walk and 2 strikeouts.
Good numbers against the Cardinal closer in his career for Cliff Floyd. 6 for 16 with a double.
Lazy ground ball. Miles up with it.
need a base runner.
Darrell Ward, who had the big hit last night against Isringhausen, on deck. Yeah, get him on, get him in. There you go. Get him on. Taguchi keeps DeRosa to a single. And here's Darrell Ward. What a big hit he had last night.
Pitch hitting for Carlos Zambrano, who pitched an outstanding ball game. Golfed that ball just to the left, a straightaway center over the head of Jim Edmonds. Cleared the bases.
You can hear the anxiety in the crowd. Cardinal fans know that this team has lost 9 in a row. DeRosa is going to be removed. Sam Fuld will pinch run. Ward is batting for Kendall. So Lewis pulling some strings. One out, a runner on. The Cubs trail by 1. And time called at the plate by Marty Foster. Brad Thompson, a right-hander, up for the Cardinals. So Tony La Russa will make a change if Isringhausen gets into any more trouble. Isringhausen has the best save percentage in the National League, 28 for 30. Ryan Dempster is right behind, 27 out of 30 after saving game 1. Cutter for a strike, 1-1. Jason is from Brighton, Illinois, under an hour from St. Louis. Signed with the Cardinals in part so he and his family could be closer to home. Darrell Ward bounces it to Pujols. They get an out at second base and at first. 3-6-3 to end it. So the Cubs' 4-game winning streak is over, and the Cardinals end their 9-game losing streak. Well, the thing about the nightcap, Bob, was the Cubs did not play well. It's one thing to be beaten, and the Cardinals did play well, but the Cubs made some mistakes early on, and it will be interesting to hear the tenor of Lou Piniella's post-game remarks. I can't imagine he's too pleased.
Well, Lou's been very adamant all season about the fact that you're going to lose ball games over the course of the season. This is a major leagues. The other team has a lot of good players over there as well, and on some days they're going to be a little bit better than you, but I think for the most part in this second game the Cubs beat themselves.
Well, let's take a look at our Nissan drive of the game. Back in the second inning, things were looking good for the Cubs as Soriano hit a 2-run homer. That made it 3-0. The Cardinals would come back with 4 unanswered runs in the third and win the ball game 4-3. So Pinheiro gets the win. He's 5-3. Marshall takes the loss to drop to 7-8. Isringhausen with his 29th save, and all in all, the Cubs losing a half game off their lead as Milwaukee won. The Brewers within 1 in the National League Central, and we know how quickly things can change. Well, partner, nicely done today. It was a long day. Bottom line is the Cubs have a chance to win this series if they can take Game 4 tomorrow.
Absolutely. After taking 2 out of 3 in Houston, you had the feeling that even a split here in St. Louis would be good enough going back to Wrigley Field, but you'd love to snake one more game here in St. Louis before heading back to the friendly confines.
Special thanks to Bob Albrecht, Dave Turner, Tamara Anderson, our producer, director, and associate producer. Our stage manager tonight, Christine Charbonneau. Dan Stella, our technical director. The executive producer of Comcast Sportsnet, Jim Corno Jr. That's going to do it for our game coverage. Stay tuned for post-game live coming up. The final score in Game 1 earlier, the Cubs 3, the Cardinals 2, and in the nightcap, Cardinals 4, Cubs 3. Our next telecast of Cubs baseball here on Comcast Sportsnet. We'll be back home Monday to start the final homestand. The Cubs host the Cincinnati Reds, and Rich Hill will pitch for the Cubs. I believe it's Bronson Arroyo for Cincinnati. In-game scoring provided by ScorePad. And now for Bob Brenly and our entire crew, this is Len Casper. You've been watching Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet.
Hey everybody, Chuck Garfien with Mitch Robinson. Cubs postgame live is up next, but first a quick look at some stories we'll have for you on Sports Night tonight.
Jim Thome makes another try for 500 on the south side. Plus Notre Dame loses today on and off the field. We've got details.
And we'll get you ready for tomorrow's Bears-Chiefs game by going one-on-one with Darwin Walker, who says the Bears have the best chemistry of any team he's been on in his NFL career. And we'll have clubhouse reaction from the Cubs in St. Louis.
That and more head on Sports Night, but Cubs postgame live is next. Don't go anywhere. Dan Plesac will get you.
This is the story of how the powerful 270 horsepower V6, roomy 3-row seating with 2nd-row captain's chairs, extra cargo room, and everything else in the newly redesigned fuel-efficient Toyota Highlander. Hauled Mark, his brother Patrick, the kids, and their wave runners off to the lake with ease. The all-new Highlander starts at a great price at your Toyota dealer now.
John's, America's #1 sandwich delivery. Fast Ed speaking. I'm on my way. Jimmy John's, America's #1 sandwich delivery. Freaky fast, freaky good.
You hear about Fensky?
No.
Got hurt, missed work. Thought his major medical was enough. Poor guy. Didn't have Aflac.
What does Aflac do?
Let's say this is major medical, right? Well, see the hole? That's where Aflac comes in. Helps pay for groceries, rent, all kinds of bills. Major medical? Pfft. Poor Fensky. He thought he had enough coverage.
Aflac. Ask about it at work.
GMC invites you to experience something thoroughly advanced, entirely re-engineered, totally innovative, and with the security of the best coverage in America, totally confident.
Now get 0% APR for 60 months on an all-new 07 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab. That's over $6,500 in average finance savings. For more information, visit gmcdrive.com.
Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you in part by LoJack, the only stolen vehicle recovery system operated by the police. Bacardi Rum, if you're going to drink, be responsible. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Pontiac, 9 performance machines, all designed for action.
Well, 2 innings into this ball game, the Cubs were putting together a heck of a day, and then the air went out of them. How's this for a number? Only 1 hit over their final 22 batters of the game. And the Cardinals come back and beat the Cubs by a final score of 4-3 in Game 2 in St. Louis. Welcome to Chicago Cubs Postgame Live with Dan Plesac. I'm Josh Mora. Boy, it shows you it is hard to sweep a team, even a slumping team like St. Louis.
It's disappointing, and I thought this was one of the more sloppy games the Cubs have played the second half of the season, and they can ill afford to have very many games like this. When you jump on a team like the Cardinals, who have been reeling the last week to 10 days, you get a 3-0 lead, you have to give a little bit of wiggle room to Sean Marshall. He's been kind of the odd guy out, bumped out of the rotation with the acquisition of Steve Traxel. I wasn't expecting him to be very sharp. It's hard to be when you just get a couple of innings out of the bullpen, but very sloppy play in the field, some sloppy base running, and this was a game really that I'm sure Lou Piniella's not going to be too happy about. This is a game that this Cub team should have won. They were fortunate. Alfonso Soriano in Game 1 hits the big home run. They hold on for dear life last night, but this was a game that hopefully won't come back and bite him in another week to 10 days.
Yeah, especially because the Cubs opened the door for the Cardinals themselves with a 3-0 lead for Sean Marshall. Let's take you to the 3rd inning to show you how the Cardinals were able to get the lead. They got all 4 runs in the inning, and it started with 1 out already. Albert Pujols had grounded out. Sean Marshall gets Ryan Ludwig. Jason Kendall's got the ball, but makes a lazy lollipop throw. Ludwig is safe on a drop 3rd strike. The next batter is Jim Edmonds. He takes ball 4. Men are on 1st and 2nd. Yadier Molina comes up, and he ropes one into the corner in left, and it kicks around. Alfonso Soriano can't come up with it cleanly. Both runners score. Cardinals are within 1 at 3-2. Scott Spiezio is next, and he ties the game with a seeing eye single back through the box. Molina scores, throw to the plate. Not all that close from Jones. We're tied at 3. After a sacrifice, Michael Wirtz comes into the game, and the 9-hitter, Miguel Cairo, the ex-Cub, who's never been known for his power, triples to the wall in center, scores Spiezio with the go-ahead and what turns out to be the winning run. All 4 runs in the inning, and it all starts. If Jason Kendall fires the ball cleanly to first, like he normally would, maybe the inning doesn't get started at all.
Oh, there's no question about it, and you hate to give games away, and that's pretty much what the Cubs did tonight. You would think after the first game, and as you touched on the open, it's awfully difficult to sweep a team, but when you jump out to a 3-0 lead, you look like you got a pretty good pitching matchup. Sean Marshall wiggled out of the first couple of innings, but Joel Pinheiro, the Cubs beat him up last week when they had that 1-game makeup game at Wrigley Field. It looked pretty good going into the 3rd inning. Unfortunately, the Jason Kendall errant throw to first base kind of opened up the floodgates, and from there were just several things that the Cubs did wrong. There was a situation later on a fly ball with a man on 2nd and 2 outs that Jock Jones went into right field, not in a position to throw, and it looked like he wasn't aware that there were 2 outs. He thought there were 2 outs, and even if he knew how many outs, he certainly got himself in a poor position to make the play and make a throw to 3rd base. And then there were some base running issues. This was just a very sloppy game that, you'd hate to have it come at this time of the season.
Yeah, you wonder if maybe mentally they were a little unfocused, having won earlier in the day. Maybe it was hard for them to stay focused. Let's take a look at our Feldco pitching recap, because you touched on something about Pinheiro in how well he pitched after this game. The Cubs had him on the ropes again after knocking him around on Monday at Wrigley Field. They had 6 of their 7 hits against him in the 1st inning, and then he came back and retired 15 in a row. He gave up a leadoff double to Derek Lee to start the 3rd, 15 in a row before he exited. That's a very strong performance.
Well, he was really good, and the Cubs had a chance to knock him out of the box early, weren't able to deliver that knockout punch. And you're going to see that happen a lot, particularly at this time of the year. You let a pitcher off the hook early, next thing you know, he starts to get a little confident, and he gets to that fourth, fifth inning, and he's feeling pretty good about himself. And the Cubs had some chances, and the Cubs were fortunate. Really, in the eighth inning, Arrow at Scott Spezio to start the inning off, and you know, three pretty unproductive bats as far as being aggressive, swinging at the first pitch, having Russ Springer on the ropes there in the eighth inning. You have the leadoff guy on, and I think he was able to get the next three successive outs on a total of 5 pitches. So not very patient on the Cubs' part as far as hitting, some sloppy base running, some sloppy fielding. Not a very good game.
Not entirely sloppy pitching for Sean Marshall. You mentioned that it's a tough situation for him, having not started in a couple of weeks to come in. Still, to only go 2 2/3 innings, I'm sure that was disappointing both for Lou Piniella and for Sean Marshall.
Well, you know, the problem is when you're in that starting rotation since the beginning of the season and you're used to taking the ball every 5 days, you do your normal work in between your assignments, and you find yourself in a good groove. And one of the things about pitching is all feel, and it's feeling good about your mechanics, the feel of the baseball, being comfortable on the mound, using all of your pitches. I tell you, you can see a lot of guys that are 6:30 p.m. pitchers. When they're warming up, they look really good. But when the lights turn on and the game starts, sometimes that good stuff disappears. And it's awfully difficult to simulate pitching in an actual game, no matter how much work you do on the side, in a bullpen session, pitching in an inter-squad game. It's not the same when there's an umpire, there's balls and strikes, and they're keeping score.
Yeah, he did pitch a couple of innings in Pittsburgh on Sunday. One of Marshall's strengths, I think, is his head is better than his stuff. Tonight, he was able to use his head to get out of a couple of jams early. Couldn't get out of the one in the third. As we go to our first break here on Cubs Postgame Live, let's check out our Pontiac opinion poll. We want to know from you if you think the Cardinals are done. Yes or no? Go to ComcastSportsNet.com. Click on Chicago, then the Cubs page, and vote. We'll have the results for you at the end of the show. More coming up on Postgame Live.
From legendary voices of the game.
Holy cow!
To broadcasters making an impact today.
Cubs win!
Chicago has some of the most renowned and respected broadcasters in the country. Join Len Casper and Comcast Sportsnet as we take a look at Chicago's most recognizable voices in baseball.
Yes!
Sounds of the season. Monday night at 10 on Land Rover Sports Night, only on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
The first NASCAR stock car to reach 200 miles per hour. The first minivan. The first pickup with side curtain airbags. And now, Dodge introduces the industry's first lifetime powertrain warranty. It's the best warranty in the business. So come check out the best lineup of Dodge vehicles ever and grab life for a lifetime.
I'm Ryan Sandberg, asking you to help cheer up kids in hospitals.
When children suffer from serious medical conditions, Rhino Kid Care, supported by Ryan Sandberg and National City, helps them and their families cope. Join the cause. Four Seasons, the largest family-owned and operated heating and air conditioning contractor, has simple goals: provide exceptional service at the best possible price and offer products that leave you nothing but satisfied. Call Four Seasons Heating and Air Conditioning today for a free estimate.
Fred Flintstone, an employee of Slate Rock Gravel Company. His wife, Wilma, a stay-at-home mom. Yet on this working man's salary, how did Wilma afford a necklace made of huge rocks?
Mr. Slate pays well, but he doesn't pay that well.
An investigation would reveal that Fred had the Flintmobile insured with Geico, saving the couple untold amounts of money. Their friendship with the Rubbles would soon become strained.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
When you need to mix it or fix it, don't risk it. Turn to the friendly experts at Heyman's Westside Ace Hardware. From painting to plumbing, electrical to pipe cutting, Westside Ace has everything to help you with those home repairs, including screens and window repairs, key duplication, and complete sharpening service. And a huge selection of nuts, bolts, and washers, sold in packages or individually. Heyman's Westside Ace, conveniently located at 4th and Division in Davenport. When you need it fixed.
Has an unplanned pregnancy got you feeling alone? No one knows how you feel. Not your best friend, your parents, maybe not even the father. Where can you go? Who can you talk to? There is a place where friendly, trained volunteers can help you through this most difficult time. We're called Birthright, and we're here when you need us the most.
Welcome to Honda's ATV Planet. Today's episode, Power Steering, The Chase is On. The team is out to track the tough Foreman 4x4 ES, the first of its species with power steering. They spot one, and the chase is on. Power steering gives it effortless handling, with no sign of fatigue. Then suddenly, it's gone. Another memorable adventure on ATV Planet.
Hawkeye Motorworks, 7805 North Division Street, Davenport.
Cubs cannot leave the weekend without at least a share of first place, but hopefully it'll be more than that if they beat the Cardinals tomorrow. Now here's a look at our Four Seasons Who's Hot, Who's Not around the majors right now. How about Miguel Cabrera? 440 over the last week with 11 hits. Matt Holliday hit into a triple play. Nonetheless, he still has 6 home runs and is hitting .308. And Billy Wagner, 4 saves and 4 appearances for those New York Metropolitans. Who's not hot? How about Rink Ankiel? We've seen that in person. He continues to slide since the HGH report. Ken Griffey Jr. popped up as the tying run tonight in Milwaukee. And Dontrell Willis, whom the Cubs may see the final week of the season. Hopefully he'll stay not hot. 1-1 with an ERA of 12 this past week. Well, there was some good if you look at both ends of the doubleheader. 2 players whom the Cubs will need over the final 2 weeks played very well. Alfonso Soriano with a couple of home runs and Kerry Wood with 2 great innings, including a win, his first since May of 2006 in Game 1. Let's start with Alfonso Soriano. This is a guy who has been in a slump. When he has hit home runs. This one in the 8th inning in Game 1 was as big as they come.
Well, this is what you pay players like Alfonso Soriano to do. You need your big-time players at this time of the year to come through for you, and that was a huge home run to give the Cubs some breathing room and really set a nice little bit of momentum going into the second game.
Yeah, 2 pretty swings, too. The first one, he said, was as good a swing as he's had, as hard a ball as he's hit all year.
Well, they need him to get hot in this remaining 2 weeks and stay that way. You know, we've talked about it. You can either out-hit or out-pitch your mistakes, and right now the Cub bats are starting to heat up a little bit, and it's at the perfect time if they can stay hot for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, 8 home runs now, has 27 for the season. As for Kerry Wood, we mentioned he gets the win in Game 1. More than the result of that, he really looked good. And compared to how he looked on Sunday in Pittsburgh, it's almost like he's a different guy.
Well, I think the more he gets to pitch, the more his arm strength is going to get better. Now, this is a guy that had virtually no spring training, no type of serious baseball pitching in April, May, June, and it really went almost into July. And to see him, you can see when he's starting to get on top of his breaking ball and get his arm angle up, you're seeing that good down tilt on the breaking ball. Here you see some good life on his fastball. I thought the last 2 appearances were as close as we've seen to Kerry Wood from about a year ago. Then they're going to need him.
And yeah, so important because Lou Piniella has leaned so heavily on those 3 guys at the back end, Marmol, Howry, Dempster, especially when they're ahead.
If they can just find one other relief pitcher, whether it's Kerry Wood or Scott Air, somebody that can step up to take a little of the burden off of Marmol and Bobby Howry. These 2 guys have been worked exclusively in the last month, and you'd like to get them a little bit of breathing room if you can, because the last week to 10 days, they're going to have to everybody be available every day.
All right, let's take a break and look at our StubHub upcoming schedule for the Chicago Cubs over the next 5 days. They finish off this series in St. Louis tomorrow afternoon, and then the Cincinnati Reds, the dangerous Cincinnati Reds, are here for 3.
Buffalo Wild Wings, you have to be here.
What's the difference between having fun and having none? The Midas Touch Maintenance Package. We'll change your oil, rotate your tires, and do a 45-point courtesy check, all for just $29.95. It's our lowest price of the year. Let Midas help you get the most from your car. For brakes, oil changes, tires, and more. Be safe.
Trust the Midas Touch.
2007. Designed for the extraordinary. Visit your local Land Rover Center.
Alfonso Soriano provides our Geico quote of the day. Talking about putting away the cards in this series, Fonzie said, if we win here this weekend, we just have to worry about Milwaukee. The Cardinals have a good chance, but if we win this series, there's only one team to beat, and that's the Milwaukee Brewers. Well, given that, we steered you towards our Pontiac opinion poll. We asked, are the Cardinals done? You checked out the website, you voted. 77% of you say yes. 6 games back, 1 left with the Cubs, 3 left with the Milwaukee Brewers. So the Cubs have won 2 of the first 3 games of this series. The finale coming up on Sunday afternoon. Let's check out the pitching matchup for tomorrow's game. A lot of connections both ways because Mark Mulder is starting for the Cardinals. He is from South Holland. And Jason Marquis is the ex-Cardinal. Mulder making his 3rd start since returning from rotator cuff surgery. First 2 have been very tough. 4 innings in each. 15 combined hits, 11 earned runs, and a pair of losses. Danny, Jason Marquis, 2-1 against his former team this year. All season he has followed bad outings with good wins. He was so-so on Tuesday in Houston. He needs to come up big again for the Cubs.
He needs to step up big, and one of the things that he has pitched some of the biggest games in the second half of the season for this Cub team, and he has pitched very well when his back is up against the wall. And I'm not necessarily saying this is a must-win type of game tomorrow, but on paper, it certainly looks like a matchup that's going to favor the Cubs. Mark Mulder coming back off surgery. He's not the same pitcher. His fastball has been in the mid to upper 80s as opposed to that 93 to 94. Hopefully the Cubs can get some runs early. Jason Marquis be able to get into the 6th or 7th inning and hopefully be able to only go through Carlos Marmol and Ryan Dempster tomorrow.
And in 10 seconds, obviously, you better to go into the final 2 weeks of the season with as much cushion as possible.
There's no question about it. If the Cubs can win this game tomorrow, it would take 3 out of 4. A very successful road trip and a great weekend.
All right, Cubs and Cardinals split a pair. 3-2 Cubs in the opener. 4-3 Cards in the nightcap, as we have just shown. For Dan, I'm Josh. Chuck Garfien and Mitch Robinson coming up next with Sports Night. Good night, everyone.
GMC invites you to experience something thoroughly advanced, entirely re-engineered, totally innovative, and with the security of the best coverage in America, totally confident.
Now get 0% APR for 60 months on an all-new 07 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab. That's over $6,500 in average finance savings. For more information, visit gmcdrive.com.
If ever you're not satisfied with one of our tires, please feel free to bring it back. Thank you. Discount Tire Company.
Low prices, more choices on the world's best brands like Michelin and B.F. Goodrich.
Born in 1983, Ben Winkler was one of the first Cabbage Patch Kids. But it wouldn't be long before this Cabbage Patch Kid became a Cabbage Patch adult. Like so many child stars before him, Ben was struggling. However, his bad fortune turned around when in 2003, it is believed he switched his car insurance to Geico, netting him much-needed money. Financially secure, he went on to win a celebrity dance competition.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Chicagoans love their pizza. That's why you come to Giordano's. Some for 30 years now. We use only the finest ingredients to make Giordano's famous stuffed pizza, our equally famous thin crust pizza, plus salads, pastas, sandwiches, and more. Come on into Giordano's and celebrate 30 great years with us. Giordano's famous stuffed pizza. We made it good. You made it famous.
Ryan Sandberg invites you to participate in his Grand Park Kickball Extravaganza Saturday, September 22nd. To benefit families with children with serious medical conditions, visit rhinokidcare.org.
Get a suit that fits. Men's Warehouse has a wide selection of great-looking suits to fit you and your budget, starting at only $200. You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it.
Grab the new Sun-Times and get the real Chicago story every day. Subscribe at suntimes.com. Chicago Sun-Times. Let's get into it.
Hi, I'm Jason Marquis of the Chicago Cubs, and you're watching Comcast Sportsnet.
Coming up on Sports Night.
We head back to St. Louis for clubhouse reaction from the Cubs-Cards nightcap. Plus, Jim Thome sits on history's doorstep.
Hart trying to bounce it out. Touchdown, Michigan.
Notre Dame faithful thought it couldn't get worse. But we'll tell you how the Irish lost more than just the football game. And we go one-on-one with Darwin Walker, who sees very big things from the defensive line this season.
The sky's the limit. We should be able to do some big things.
We're always in the giving mood. On Sports Night now.
This is Sports Night, presented by Land Rover. Live from the Comcast Sportsnet studios in downtown Chicago.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Land Rover Sports Night alongside Chuck Garfien. I'm Mitch Robinson. The Bears are closing in on week 2 of the NFL season, and we're getting you ready.
But first, the battle for first. The Cubs and Cardinals in a doubleheader at Busch. Would there be a sweep? We start with Game 1 this afternoon, and it was Ted Lilly on the hill looking for win number 16, but he would struggle in the first. Albert Pujols with 2 outs. That's a single. The Cardinals get something going in the first. And after a walk to Ryan Ludwig, Jim Edmonds at the plate, and Jim taking Lilly deep. It's going to go off the wall and bounce past Darrell Ward out there. Both runs come in. It's 2-0 Cardinals. Lilly threw 33 pitches in the inning. Top of the second, a man on. Giovanni Soto smashes it off the wall. Mark DeRosa goes to third. Soto in its second. Nobody out. Next batter, Mike Fontenot. It's a fly ball to center. DeRosa is at third. He's tagging, and Edmonds, he's not even throwing. The sac fly makes it 2-1 Cardinals. Meanwhile, Lilly settled down Ryan Ludwig. Nothing. That ends the third. Lilly struck out 4. But Braden Looper, just as sharp for the Cardinals, getting Soto looking. 9 in a row for Looper. Still 2-1 in the 6th. Edmonds leading off, and he pops one to left. Alfonso Soriano is under it. Sort of. He loses it in the sun. Edmonds goes to second on the error, but Lilly would get out of the jam. Fanning the Looper to end the inning. Lilly goes 6 strong, giving up just those 2 first-inning runs. So Kerry Wood comes on in the 7th. He gets Aaron Miles chasing. Woody throws a perfect 7th in relief. In the 8th, Ryan Franklin on for Looper. First batter he faces is a pinch hitter. It's Cliff Floyd, and Cliff walks.
And he walked him.
So that would lead to this. Alfonso Soriano at the plate. He's the go-ahead run, and this is Crush City. Deep, far, way back, gone. Soriano's 26th homer of the year. The Cubs take their first lead of the day in the 8th, 3-2. Ryan Dempster. Yes, Ryan Dempster on in the 9th. Facing Ryan, making Russell Branyan, gets him swinging. Now with 2 outs, he gets Duncan, as in Chris Duncan, a perfect 9th for Dempster. And the Cubs win Game 1, 3-2. Kerry Wood gets the W, his first since May of '06. Lou Piniella said afterwards, if this was a football game, he'd give Kerry the game ball. Soriano said the home run was his best swing in a week. This is the Cardinals' 9th loss in a row. Would there be more? Mitch Robinson.
That's where I come in. Game 2 of the doubleheader, and Cubs striking early. Top of the first 2 on. Ramos Ramirez singling it to left. Jock Jones, come on down. Cubs get the early advantage as Jones beats the throw. One of the few guys to do that in the game. Later in the inning, bases loaded for Mark DeRosa. Flies out to Jim Edmonds. Derek Lee going to tag and try to score. Play at the plate, and Lee nailed. That's a double play. Take another look. It's a very close call on whether or not Yadier Molina got the tag in. Nonetheless, it's called out. It's 1-0 Cubs after 1. Top of the second, Sean Marshall at the dish. Marshall singles into left. Ryan Theriot going to test the arms. And he, too, is gunned down at the plate. This one not even close. Well, that brings up Alfonso Soriano with a man on.
And how about a 2-run homer? There's a drive. Deep right center for Soriano. Gone!
Ask and you shall receive.
3-0.
Nice. Second 2-run shot of the day for Fonzie. Cubs lead at 3-0. But things unravel for the Cubs in the 3rd. Ryan Ludwig striking out, swinging, but the ball dropped. Jason Kendall makes an error. Throwing to first. Ludwig is safe. It comes back to haunt him later in the inning. Molina takes this one to left field into the corner. That'll chase home a pair, and the Cards are on the board and pull to within one at 3-2. Next batter, Scott Spezio, and he singles up the middle. Molina scores from second, and that ties the game at 3. So Sean Marshall doesn't make it through the third inning. He's pulled in favor of Michael Wirtz after only 2 2/3. But Wirtz doesn't fare much better. Miguel Cairo, the ageless Miguel Cairo, hits one into center over the head of Jacques Jones. Spezio scores on the Cairo triple. The Cards have the lead at 4-3. We pick it up in the bottom of the 6th. Runner on third for Albert Pujols. And Pujols lines one, high to second. DeRosa jumps up, hauls it down. Nice play. In the 7th, Joel Pinheiro on a roll gets Mike Fontenot to ground out to Cairo to end the inning. Pinheiro retired 15 in a row, struck out 4 in 7 innings of work. 9th inning, one on, Darrell Ward stepping in, and this time can't come through. The 3-6-3 double play ends the game. Cubs 4-game winning streak comes to an end as they fall the Cards the final 4-3. So Sean Marshall takes a loss in his return to the rotation, gets charged with all 4 runs, although Michael Wirtz actually delivered the go-ahead RBI triple. Now the Cubs will try to win the series before leaving town for their final homestand of the regular season. Dan Plesac talks about the loss in Game 2.
Well, this is a game that hopefully the Cubs, this will be the last of the sloppy games remaining. This was a very difficult ball game to lose. You stake Sean Marshall to a 3-0 lead. That lead evaporates, and the Cubs just didn't do a very good job running the bases. A little bit sloppy in the outfield play. And then they had Russ Springer on the ropes in the 8th inning, a leadoff, an error by Scott Spezio, a man on first, nobody out, and they enabled Russ Springer to wiggle out of that inning, throwing, I believe, a grand total of 5 pitches. This was a game, hopefully, that the Cubs can forget about. It makes tomorrow, Sunday's game, that much more important.
Oh, Dan is good. Milwaukee hosting the Reds to check out how the Brewers did Prince Fielder in the 3rd. Line drive to right. That clears the fence. His 46th homer of the year. It sets a new single-season franchise record for the Brewers. 3-1 Milwaukee with the lead. In the 7th, it's a 4-2 game. Cincinnati closing the gap. Brandon Phillips delivering the RBI single to left, and that makes it a 1-run game. But in the 8th, with no one on, J.J. Hardy nails Mike Gosling. Solo shot for his 25th of the year. Milwaukee wins it by a final of 5-3. So after a long day, the Cubs lose a half game on the Brewers. Now with only a 1-game lead in the Central, while the Cards 6 games back. And tomorrow, Jason Marquis will close out the series, taking on Mark Mulder. If there's one thing Marquis been able to do this season, it's win against his former club. He's 2-1 against them, although the last time out, he was tagged with the loss after allowing 6 runs in only 5 innings of work.
Jim Thome's road to 500 home runs started 16 years ago at Yankee Stadium. The rookie for the Cleveland Indians was just 21 years old, and he had a 2-run shot off Steve Farr. He would hit his 2nd home run, by the way, against the Sox' Jack McDowell. But that was the past. This is the present. Would tonight be the night for the big one? The Angels and White Sox at U.S. Cellular Field. Thome, will you do it? The fans can't wait to see it happen. First inning facing Jared Weaver on a full count, and Thome is going to absolutely walk. And that's the walk number 1451 for his career. But in the 3rd, after singles from Figgins and Cabrera, Vladimir Guerrero's at the plate. That's a single. Figgins come on down. The Angels lead at 1-0. Bottom of the inning, and the Sox come back. After a Danny Richard ground rule double, Jerry Owens had a big night. Singles to left. Richard comes in to score, and we're tied at 1. Later in the inning, Thome at the plate, a man on 3rd. Weaver gets him swinging. No home run here. 4th inning now. Reggie Willits at the plate for the Angels gets his 2nd hit of the game. Howie Kendrick comes in. The Angels take the lead 2-1. Bottom of the 6th, Thome trying again. That's an infield pop-up. Stayed 2-1 Angels all the way until the 9th. One more chance for Thome, one more chance for the Sox. Thome goes down looking, doing 0 for 3 with a walk, 2 strikeouts. The Sox lose 2-1. So that's 10 plate appearances without a home run for Thome. But we're going to be patient. John Garland gave up 1 earned run over 7, but takes the loss. He's now 1-5 in his last 9 starts. Jerry Owens got 3 of the Sox, 6 total hits. Kerry Sayers has more from the South Side.
The fans were on their feet, cheering Jim Thome during each at-bat. Flashbulbs popped on every swing in anticipation of the history-making home run. But the Angels pitching staff had other plans as Thome went without a hit for the 2nd straight night.
They have a very good pitching staff. They, Weaver pitched a very good game tonight, and, their bullpen has done a terrific job for them all year. And, you got to tip your hat when guys come out and they pitch really well. That happens.
Big Jim has gone 2 for 9 since belting number 499 on Wednesday. He went 0 for 3 Saturday, walking, striking out twice, and popping out. Despite what's at stake, Thome doesn't feel he's pressing.
Bottom line is that's what makes that so tough to do, and it's not easy to go out and hit a home run, when everybody wants you to. And, it'll happen eventually. You just got to let it happen and ultimately getting back, try to win the game.
It makes a lot of excitement at the ballpark, and a lot of people into every at-bat it come to the plate, and hopefully it do it tomorrow for him and his family and the fans.
Thome had 25 friends and family on hand, and they'll be back again on Sunday. It's his final chance to join the exclusive 500 club before the Sox head out on their final road trip of the season. Unfortunately, left-hander Joe Saunders will be on the bump for the Angels, and Thome has belted just 88 home runs against southpaws in his career compared to 411 against right-handers. From U.S. Cellular Field, Kerry Sayers, Comcast Sportsnet.
Thank you, Kerry. The Sox and Angels back on the field tomorrow, and we've got it for you. Sanders, as Kerry said, against Mark Burley. First pitch set for just after 1 p.m. Bill Melton will join me for Sox pregame live at 12:30.
If the Bears offense is going to continue to perform like it did against the Chargers, then the role of the punter will become increasingly important, which is good and bad. Good because the Bears rely on veteran Brad Maynard to do the punting. Bad because he's nursing a sore groin and is listed as questionable Sunday against the Chiefs. If he can't go, the team's about to sign veteran Dirk Johnson, who was cut by Philly in the final roster trim. As for that offense, how can they get it going? Well, that's for William Jackson to answer.
For the most part, the Bears didn't have any trouble getting into the end zone last year. But in San Diego, they failed to score any kind of touchdown for the first time in years. And you can chalk it up to 4 turnovers, something they know they must change versus Kansas City.
We just need to make sure that we're not making any mental mistakes and hurting ourselves. And, it's not that much to ask. Just go out and do your job and we know we have a bunch of talent, and that should allow us to make big plays.
We've got some very good skill guys, some guys that can make some plays, starting with our quarterback, starting with Rex, to be able to get them the ball. And he's got some weapons to get to use, to get the ball to. And like I said, we never got on track last week, and, we'll get that going. There's no question in my mind we can do that.
Now, coming into the season, the Bears felt they would be just as productive offensively, getting yards in chunks going downfield. But against the Chargers, the game just didn't play out that way.
For whatever reason, the situation didn't present itself. We had a bunch of plays in our playbook and our game plan to go downfield and take shots on them, but just how the game evolved, we were really never in that situation.
Another thing that didn't play out was seeing Mr. Excitement Devin Hester contribute on offense. But Ron Turner says that will definitely change this week. It has to.
We definitely have a plan, and we will definitely get Devin involved offensively early, and, hopefully Garrett as well.
Well, we've been working on a couple plays here and there, basically the same ones we've been working on the OTAs, so we're looking forward to I really couldn't tell you right now, we're just going to go with the game plan, and wherever the shoes fit, that's what we're going to go with.
It'll be nice to see Devin on offense, but he makes his real money in the kicking game. But the Chargers did a nice job on special teams. But now it gets personal for Devin, seeing as 2 of his former college teammates took one back to the house in week number 1. The Ravens' Ed Reed with a 63-yard punt return for 6, and the Bills' Roscoe Parrish took a punt back 74 yards for a score. And they let Devin know about it.
it's kind of hard. You know, all my fellow teammates from the Miami Hurricane, they all got a one return in on the first game, so they all looking at me crazy. So, you know, it's at the same time, you know, it's a game plan thing. You know, you can't avoid from the punters that's punting away from you and the kickers that kicking away from you. So you basically got to go to game plan and just go to the way the game is going. And, you know, Roscoe called me and me and him been texting back and forth, just talking about it, you know. Me and him going to be going at it this year, so that's a big thing right there.
But if all goes as planned for Devin this weekend, he says he'll be the one making the calls with the bragging rights. That means he will take one back to the house, and that's the way he likes it. At Hallis Hall with the Bears, William Jackson, Comcast Sportsnet.
Thanks, William. So here it is in black and white. Just how inept the Bears were offensively in Week 1. They tied the 94 Bills for the lowest output in the season opener after making a Super Bowl the previous year. Today near Brighton Park, the Bears' Tommy Harris got together with Feed the Children to distribute food to 400 families in Chicago. Each family received a 25-pound box filled with food and personal care items. Harris realizes the importance of every effort to help those in need.
I've never been hungry, but I've been around. I had a lot of friends that went without food and different things. My mom would feed them and different things, but it's just good always to give back, whether it's through child abuse, through Feed the Children, through anything. All the athletes need to come out and just help around.
You can see Tommy Harris and the rest of the Bears as soon as the Bears game ends tomorrow. Flip it over to Comcast Sportsnet for Bears postgame live. We bring you Lovie Smith and Rex Grossman's news conferences and interviews with all the key players, hopefully Harris included. It's right after Bears, Chiefs, and tomorrow.
Stay right there. Much more ahead here on the show. You know, if you cried watching the movie Brian's Song,
I did.
All of us did. What will you do now that it's in high def?
Yeah, really.
We'll talk to Gale Sayers, who's at the premiere. Plus, Darwin Walker getting set for his first start tomorrow for the Bears. We're going to go one-on-one with the defensive tackle coming up. And just when you thought it could not get any worse for the Irish, guess what happened today at the Big House? And Demetrius Jones did not make the trip to Ann Arbor. Now we know why. He was enrolling at another school. We're going to tell you where. Plus more coverage from St. Louis. We're going to go inside the Cubs clubhouse. That and more on the way.
From legendary voices of the game.
Holy cow!
To broadcasters making an impact today.
Cubs win!
Chicago has some of the most renowned and respected broadcasters in the country. Join Len Casper and Comcast Sportsnet as we take a look at Chicago's most recognizable voices in baseball.
Yes!
Sounds of the season. Monday night at 10 on Land Rover Sports Night, only on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. Land Rover Sports Night is brought to you by your local Land Rover dealers. The adventure begins at your Illinois Land Rover retailer today.
Roll stability control, cornering brake control, patented terrain response. Despite the probability that you won't, the LR2 is designed for the possibility that you will. The all-new 2008 Land Rover LR2, starting at $34,700. Limited time finance offers available now at your local Land Rover Center.
We're America's largest refiner, and some of the vehicles we fuel don't travel on roads. For those that do, we make some of the cleanest gasoline on the planet, and every drop is performance guaranteed. And our employees contribute over 200,000 hours a year in our communities. We know you probably don't think about these things when you think of Valero. That's okay, just as long as when you do think of us, you think of this. Valero, the energy to take you anywhere.
If ever you're not satisfied with one of our tires, please feel free to bring it back. Thank you. Discount Tire Company.
Low prices, more choices on the world's best brands like Michelin and BF Goodrich.
What is K&G Fashion Superstore? It's where men and women of every size and shape can find thousands of great-looking suits and everything else for their wardrobe at ridiculously low prices. Like men's suits starting at $99.99 and ladies' suits starting at just $49.99. At K&G, you'll find incredible savings on all your clothing needs. K&G Fashion Superstore. For men, for women, for less.
McDonald's Sports Rise every morning only on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
Well, this was feeling like a sweep. It was looking like a sweep. But the Cubs did not get the sweep. The Cardinals take the nightcap 4-3. Lou Piniella speaking moments ago in St. Louis.
Yeah, we got a couple guys thrown out at home plate. And we did have a couple opportunities, and then we did nothing really for basically the rest of the ballgame.
Marshall?
You know, that inning started with the errant throw there to first base. But he really didn't have real good command. He deserved better, but...
Two guys thrown out at the plate early.
Yeah, that got us, you know, they made two good throws. They made two good throws. The left fielder and center fielder made good throws.
Were your guys kind of mentally fatigued in that?
I don't know. Maybe, yeah, I mean, I think St. Louis probably just as fatigued as we were. So it's not an easy day, believe me. I don't know why Major League Baseball allows these type of doubleheaders at the end of the year. I really don't. But that's not for me to decide. Play a game at noon and sit around all day and then have to play again at night. I mean, you know, play a doubleheader and forget about it. I don't know about the focus, but I mean, it's a long day. I mean, you know, it's a long day. I mean, you all are tired and you don't play. You just write.
Hart does step up.
And report.
Did Hart step up in your eyes as far as...
No, Hart did a nice job. The whole bullpen did a nice job. I mean, you know, Carey threw the ball really well. Air threw the ball really well. Hart, nice job. Look, we split here today. It's go out and win a ball game tomorrow and go back home. That's all.
You know what Ramirez was upset about there?
I think I asked the first base coach. I think Springer must have said something to him. I don't know.
Lou, you're up two games to one in this series, so still a pretty decent position to be in.
Look, I mean, St. Louis, they've been struggling, but they played us tough just the way I thought they would. And every game has been nip and tuck. So let's hope that the nip and tuck game goes our way tomorrow.
Tennessee and Gainesville taking on number 5 Florida. College football balls go 3 and out on their first possession, so they have to punt. Brandon James fields it at the 17. Why are we showing you this? Because, well, he's turning on the Jets, and he's going 83 yards. And just like that, the Gators are out front 7-0. Vols fans, you should have known it was not going to be your day. There's more. Second quarter, he is Tim Tebow. And he finds Cornelius Ingram for 20 yards. Touchdown. Gators win their 10th in a row, 17th straight, 59 at home, 59-20 the final.
From the school that brought us Ricky Waters, Jerome Bettis, and the Four Horsemen, we give you -6. That's how many yards Notre Dame ran for on Saturday. For the season, they've totaled a whopping -14. The only positive for the Irish, they at least had positive yards passing. The 0-2 Irish taking on the 0-2 Michigan Wolverines. Jimmy Clausen, he wants a do-over. He was sacked 8 times. He fumbled here. The Wolverines recover one of 4 Notre Dame turnovers. Clausen later got benched. Mike Hart guaranteed a victory, and he backed it up. First quarter, he finds the end zone. Michigan up 10-0. They would score more than that. Second quarter, Hart again. He bounces outside. That is another touchdown. Hart ran for 187 yards. Michigan up 17-0. Still in the second, true freshman Ryan Mallett finds Greg Matthews on the short pass, and he's going to do the rest. 26 yards, his first touchdown for the Wolverines. Michigan rolls 38-0. In 3 games, Notre Dame's offense has yet to score a touchdown. Meanwhile, Dimitri
Wildcats with 4th and goal from the 8. Boucher's pass in the end zone. Incomplete. Duke gets their first win in nearly 2 years. 2014 the final. On to golf, and so much for battling the NFL for ratings on Sunday. The PGA doesn't stand a chance. After all, Tiger Woods is in the lead after 3 rounds at the Tour Championship, and when Tiger enters Sunday with the lead, he never loses. The only reason to tune in is to see if someone could pull a Zach Johnson or if Tiger's wife gets on camera during the round.
Oh.
Yeah, I went there. Third round of the Tour Championship, par 4, 3rd hole, Tiger. Look at the approach, leaving it inches from the pin. He birdied the hole to put him at 13 under. On the par 5 fifth, Zach Johnson, and he had a round like no other. Johnson for eagle. And drops it, puts him at 12 under. Then later, Johnson, birdie putt, this time on 17 coming up. The day after Tiger flirted with 59, Johnson shot a 60, breaking the previous course record by 2 strokes. On the 14th hole, Tiger's approach off the fairway, lands a few feet from the cup. Tiger shoots a 64 just to keep his lead. He's 3 shots ahead as they head to the 4th round.
Tiger's losing. He's not going to win. He never wins, right?
You want to bet me?
Never.
I can use money.
Not going there.
College fund.
Well, header on the show, the movie Brian Song. It returns to the big screen, at least for one night, and everyone cried, guaranteed. And much more from the Cubs, who came up short in Game 2. We'll head back to St. Louis for post-game reaction. We're going to hear from Mark DeRosa and company. Plus, we go one-on-one with the Bears' newest starting defensive tackle, Darwin Walker. Who knows? This Bears team is very special.
Chemistry in our locker room is as good, or I mean, it's better than any locker room that I've been in. And